All right. Thursday night live stream. Welcome, everybody. We've got a few people in the chat. Get ready for a fire show. We've got some good guests are going to be joining us here shortly. We've got Anthony Johnson's going to be jumping in here shortly. I would say probably, who knows, 15, 20 minutes. I believe that Pat Stedman will be coming in and a few others you might know. So, but topic of the show tonight is how has the Manosphere helped men? I think the last show we did on how has the Manosphere really, the disruptions and everything that infighting and things like that. So how has the Manosphere failed men? So what this show is about tonight is going to be about positive reinforcement for men. Why is this Manosphere, which is a sphere of men, okay? And some people will call it a sausage festival. You guys have heard all the slurs, I'm sure, but I think that a lot of times guys enter the Manosphere for a specific reason, and probably 80% of the reason that guys enter is through some sort of trauma. And now trauma doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a divorce or a breakup, something to do with a woman. It can also be that you are looking to start a business, somebody to guide you. You're a young guy that needs that push. It could be, let's say you're overweight. You want to create a better version of yourself. So I think it's a collection of men that are helping each other with their ideas. Now, we know from the last show that ideas do collide, philosophies do collide. But I think that I'm going to say that most men, excuse me, most, not all, but most are authentic in their end goal. Okay, most. And again, I commented last on the last stream that I don't think that everybody has the end goal. I think it can be, and I'm not trying to start on a negative note, but I think that money can be a big issue with creating your content. But I think that the Manosphere is a collection of ideas. I think it's positive masculinity, which can be families, how to hold, we'll use the term frame in a relationship, how not to be run over, how to take care of yourself physically. There's a lot of different, we'll just say a lot of different corners of the Manosphere. So, and again, that word, I think, has been bastardized a bit. Gonzo, I want to go to you. And do you have the Wikipedia, which is a joke to me? What's the definition of Manosphere in Wikipedia?
Yeah, it's interesting. So Wikipedia says, this is the opening paragraph. It says, Manosphere. The Manosphere is a collection of websites, blogs, and online forums promoting emphasized masculinity. Hostility towards women, strong opposition to feminism, and exaggerated misogyny. The Manosphere has been associated politically with the far right and alt-right. Movements within the Manosphere include the men's rights movement, incels, involuntary celibates, men going their own way, pickup artists, and fathers' rights groups. The Manosphere has been associated with online harassment as well as some mass shootings and other real-world acts of violence, and has been implicated in radicalizing men into committing violence against women. That's what it says.
Yeah, and there's nothing farther from the truth right there. That's for sure, as far as I'm concerned. Let's go to Gene, Primal Man. Let's give me your input on how the Manosphere has helped men. In fact, if you want to share how it's helped you.
Yeah. I think mainly what it all boils down to is that it shows men how things really are, not how we were told or taught or think. It exposes a lot of the truth on a real life level, and kind of like what we're working with as men today. And it keeps it 100. It keeps it real. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. And I think the fact that a lot of men have found this gang also is one thing. And also the fact that they're like, I believe this, and I apply it, and it's proven to be true now. So I can avoid the same mistakes that I made before I met the Manosphere teachings. And so they move forward with a whole new plan, a whole new outlook, and they can do much better this time around. And it's probably brought some men off the brink of suicide as well.
Yeah. No, now you said new plan. Now, when you say that, you're not saying it's a new thought process. It's actual a thought process and a way of life that is normal and natural.
Yeah. It's old truths that need to be brought back.
Now, Carly Ellison made a comment here. I don't know if I'm taking this the right way. Most of you seem sincere, but it's our time now. Well, Carly, I'm not sure what you're saying there, but the Manosphere also has an issue. She answered her own question. I'll throw it up there. Men can help themselves by understanding we don't need you anymore. Well, I'm going to disagree with you there. So the only thing that usually that statement ends up with is box wine and a lot of cat food. So, and that's not a knock. That's the truth. So I think men and women need each other. So let's make that clear right off the bat. That's for sure. I want to give a couple shout outs real quick. Alpha Brick. I haven't seen him before. Maybe I have. Welcome. Nutshots. Yes. I'm going to recommend this channel. So anybody who's watching, check out his channel. He actually does some really cool videos on dating app breakdowns. And so any single guys out there, check out his channel, man. It's actually I watched a few of his videos, and I think it's very, very logical and really kind of a I'll just call it a philosophical take on dating apps. But check his channel out and subscribe to it. So I was checking out his content. It's not for everybody, I'm sure, but yeah, check it out for sure. So, and Matt M says, yeah, Carly, listen to Tony. We got Bald Bastard. We got to congratulate him tonight because they just had a baby, and he's a baby making machine. You know,
make more.
Yeah, buddy. Congratulations, man. Yeah. Congratulations. I think that's awesome. Also, you guys follow Bald Bastard on Instagram.
Yeah, I follow him. Yeah.
Great family guy, man. He's a I want to call him. He's a representative of a family man. I mean, he really is. Good guy. He was on my first Saturday night live stream. So, but I think that's awesome, BB. Congratulations, man. We send you a lot of love for sure. And to your new addition to your family, I think that's friggin' awesome.
That's right.
But you got Nutshots here again. Yep. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, brother, for sure. So a lot of congratulations here. We're gonna throw it out there to the Bald Bastard. So, and we just call him BB here. So, but so let's go to Gonzo on the Manosphere. Give us your take on how it helps men.
Yeah, you know what I really appreciate is that, you know, for what it's, you know, called, you know, which is, I guess, kind of this, it's almost, they make it sound like homogenous, like it's just this one thing and it's this one idea and it's this one philosophy. Like even if there's different factions of it, it almost seems like it's just, you know, it's just men coming together and it's all the same thing, and it can't be further from the truth, because I see so much variance in the ideas being presented, and I really appreciate that. Like, you know, you go to somebody like when I discovered the Manosphere, it wasn't even called the Manosphere. I don't know when that term like came into use, but it was like Elliot Hulse in his early days. That was like the first I ever saw of anything like the Manosphere. And then I had a friend who introduced me to these, I think it was like the Way of Man And then he introduced me to Curse of the High IQ, Aaron Clary. I'm not sure if you would consider him like a Manosphere guy, but it's similar type stuff that, you know, he talks about. We're talking about society. We're talking about not just women, but, you know, all these different lifestyles and philosophies and all that sort of thing. And so that's what I have really appreciated about it, is that you can sort of sample all these things and you can learn a lot from it, and try it out for yourself, see how it works.
Yeah. Carly makes a quick comment here. Men are weak today compared to before. That is my perspective. No offense. No offense taken. I agree with you.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And that's the reason why we need this community.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's why the Manosphere exists.
But Matt makes a comment back. He said, only the men you hang around. And I think, you know, and I'll give him a lot of credit, Matt, for that comment, because I think some women do look for that,
They do.
know, and I'll use some of the lingo, but a beta male provider.
Especially women that say they don't need no man. They're gonna attract the betas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'll never find a real man with that mindset, by the way.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but
yeah,
feel free. You're entitled to your opinion.
I've got a couple comments here in YouTube community I wanted to go over. First of all, Scott Isaac says it gives us a community. And there's nothing wrong with that. Another comment by Robert Mendick. Useful information that alerts and encourages men to protect themselves from the unique traps and pitfalls that involvement with modern women can have. And I will agree with him on that. So, but these are some of the comments, and I want to make those comments public for sure. So, you know, we have so many positive things that in this sphere of men, so many positive things that are overlooked. You know, think of the guy that just went through he got home from work, you know, his locks were changed. Where does this guy go? You know, what does he do? What does he do?
I know a story personally where the guy was kicked out of his own house. His own house. Guy makes good money, got kids, kicked out of his own house. And I just thought that was insane.
Well, you know, you just reminded me, like, this isn't really like a relationship sort of thing, but like my grandfather. Now you have to keep in mind, this was like before, like right before World War II and all that, right? But my grandfather, you know, as a kid, he was like locked out of his own house, or not even locked out. They would, his mother and their family would move houses and not tell him where they went. So he would like go to school, and he would come back and they weren't home, and he had no idea where home was. And so he would just like wander around, but he ended up developing, like, you know, I think a pretty serious issue with his family over that, and like, you know, with the relationships and that whole thing. And you just think about what that does to a man, and then you see similar things happening in relationships. I mean, it's brutal.
That story is more. That story I will say is more popular than people think. You know, could you imagine being thrown out of your house, thrown to the street? You just have your car and your car keys, the clothes on your back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine that, you know, what that guy's thinking. He had his life set, and all of a sudden things have changed in a blink of an eye. So where does this guy reach out to? He reaches out to Manosphere. And I think a lot of times guys in that position will sometimes reach out to the wrong corner. Now, we talked about this backstage. How do I put this? A guy gets kicked out, okay, of his house. And for a man to reach out to another man is very, very difficult. We want to always seem strong. We want to seem stoic. We don't want to reach out to anybody. We can handle it. But sometimes there's guys that aren't raised like myself, who was raised in a pretty typical family with a masculine father, you know, Marine, you know, a guy who's like, you know, you're going to handle this shit, buck up, that kind of thing. Now, a guy who's raised in a single mom household is not going to handle that same advice the same way. You know, they're not going to be able to take, you know, like I think it's Steve the Dean says, take that heart punch. Now, I'm a guy that can take that heart punch. So, you guys want to jump in on this? So what is it, you know, in fact, whatever you want to call it with Coach Greg Adams. Coach Greg said, you know, it's a big deal when a guy reaches out because it's not something that we do. So if you're a guy out there right now and has somebody that's going through something and he reaches out to you, man, let me tell you, take that guy in, but try to discern what he's going through. Try to discern if he can take that heart punch. And I don't want to say you have to coddle a man because the manosphere is a tough place, let's face it. But I think sometimes a guy's going to take that entrance. He's going to take that entrance fee a little bit different. So let me bring in President Dream. There he is.
Amen, brother. Good to be here. And yeah, man, you say manosphere is a tough place. Fuck yeah, exactly as it should be.
Yeah, it's a tough place. What we were talking about, Anthony, is like guys that aren't used to that tough love, we'll call it, you know. Okay. So what do you do? We'll start with you. What do you do with a guy that can't take that smash? I mean, the guy that's like just in so much fucking pain that he just can't handle it. What do you do with a guy like that? I don't want to say coddle him, but how do you handle a guy like that?
Yeah, so you mean from like a guy looking for advice and he doesn't want to hear like tough love kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question, man. I mean, I haven't been a coach in a long time. Most people don't know that a long time ago I was actually a coach, very briefly for about, I don't know, 9 months or a year. I don't know, something like that, not too long. I mean, that was way younger and it was much simpler than what guys deal with now, much older stuff. Yeah, I mean, the guy needs to probably, I would say think outside the box and get outside of the manosphere. Like if he's so frustrated and so unwilling to hear like tough love, he's going to have issues that are going to be like external to the manosphere, I think, in some ways. So he needs to be studying like philosophy. He needs to be studying psychology. He needs to be studying CPTSD, Richard Grannon stuff. And, you know, Shawn Smith is even has an interview on this on his channel, for example, with Richard Grannon. They discuss CPTSD. So yeah, if a guy isn't willing to hear like hard love, you know, tough love from other men that mean well for him, even that he's paying like literally, you know, money to or time and attention, yeah, his issues are going to be beyond just like sucking with women. A lot of guys, you know, a lot of what guys that get attracted to the manosphere for is that they suck with women in some way, right? Some girl burnt them or they can't talk to women in public, like in, you know, cold approaches and stuff. But the sucking with women is a symptom of a deeper problem. It's not really the problem. They perceive it as a problem because it's in their face and they're like, damn, I'm horny, I want to fuck some girl or, you know, fix some relationship or whatever the issue is. But the issues a lot of the times are much deeper than that. So if they're not even willing to hear advice from someone who's a specialist in that, then they have issues that are probably external to that. They have some sort of like, that doesn't mean they have personality disorder, but they have a stick up their ass. And if they have a stick up their ass, they're not going to get better. Back in the day, we call this even a sticking point in the manosphere. You had sticking points in the pickup community and you'd work on them and focus on them. But if you don't have at least a baseline of humility, and I think that word's overused today, humble and humility and the stuff, but you need some. And you need enough humility to say, like, I don't know everything. I'm wrong on at least a few things in life and probably a lot. And some of these are causing me problems in ways that I don't understand. And you need to accept that and, you know, take someone's advice, whether you're paying them, you know, directly or you're getting advice, you know, just for free and stuff. So,
you know, it's funny you say that because, God, who was I talking to? I think it was, it was Coach Greg Adams. Coach Greg says that you watch women invest in themselves. They'll throw money at all sorts of things, whether it's 50 Shades of Grey and or all these different things, but men won't invest in themselves.
Yeah.
They won't
very reluctant to do that.
Yeah, they won't throw the money out there to invest in themselves. Why do you think that is?
Partly because women just blow money. I mean, let's talk man talk on this shit. Women just, I mean, if you ever give a woman a credit card, like you're nuts with a limit, you know, high limit on it. Like if it's not, you should give her a credit card that's maxed out or has a low limit because she's going to blow money. I mean, look on Instagram. Women buy fucking $800 handbags, these shoes, all this bullshit. So that doesn't mean spending money on yourself to invest in yourself and improve yourself is bullshit. It means that women, I think by default, through evolution or whatever the fuck, they have a habit of just blowing lots and lots of money. I mean, look at the culture. As women became more involved in politics, look at politics. The national debt in the United States has skyrocketed exponentially since the day that they got in. Stefan Molyneux used to have videos on his channel that's now extinct, obviously, that showed this. Now, it's not always that simple, but honestly, it looks pretty reliable that as soon as women got involved in politics, debt went through the roof because they just blow money on stuff. Men, on the other hand, are more frugal and a little more skeptical, I think. They're more logically oriented. So they're just more reluctant, for better or worse, to invest in themselves in ways that are going to pay long-term dividends, I mean, look at 21 Convention. Jack Murphy, one of our speakers of the day, was telling me that, the networking and connections he made as a speaker, never mind as an attendee, and they have similar access to networking at the events, it completely changed his life since he first attended back in 2018 as a speaker. Like literally built, a business out of this and long-term professional relationships that completely changed his life. And we see that today with Liminal Order and all the things that he's doing online. And he's succeeding very, very strongly. I know guys, for example, that have told me that I know one guy that lost like over $1 million clean in a divorce. And he told me flat out to my face. We met at a different event later on, a Jordan Peterson event, actually. Just randomly, we're like, oh, yeah, how's it going? And he told me flat out, he's like, if I had attended your convention a couple years earlier in my life and dropped, $1,000, $2,000, I would have saved myself $1 million. And like hindsight is 2020, but that's the reality is going to a conference for 3 or 4 days, like our 21 convention, you can avoid very serious pitfalls in life that are going to cost you hundreds of times more down the road if you ever get successful and then some woman decides to take you to the cleaners. Or, some other bullshit. Who knows, right? All kinds of shit happens behind the scenes, blackmail and shit. So, yeah, it's, I know, the instant gratification thing today, what that really is like super short-term thinking. And it's not always like extremely instant short-term thinking. It's just guys think a few days, 2 weeks at a time. But really, they should think long-term. I know with my business as a man and as an entrepreneur, I look at it not only in years, but even decades at a time. I'm 15 years in now. So I'm thinking, not only what am I going to do this year and next year, what am I going to do 5 years, 10 years, and for the next 15 years? I've already made it 15. So what's the next 15 going to look like? It's not that complicated, to sit down and think about this, but most guys just don't do it. They didn't have a father to teach them that. They didn't have a grandfather or an uncle to teach them that kind of long-term masculine thinking. So I don't know where I'm going. I don't know. That's kind of random thoughts on it.
No, that's a great rant, actually. So what do you think of this comment? By the way, Dippin, I can see your comments. I know you said earlier they are showing up. So I don't know if it's something on your end. They're showing up on StreamYard and in the live chat. So Dippin says majority of men with money are undesirable and ugly. Women will use men with money. Well, what do you think about that? Anybody?
Women use men that let them use them. That's it. That's all there is to it. Men are they're scared of conflict across the board for the most part. And it's like, say no, shut your credit cards off, damage control. You can't control what happened, but you can control the damage from this point forward. So I can't believe how many guys are scared of confrontation with a woman. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, they're scared of confrontation in general. They're scared of confrontation with men. That's why they see conflict among men as so it's agonizing to them. They really get anxiety off it when they see men fighting because they know they couldn't handle it. Yep. That's why in the Manosphere is filled with beta males that have long-term conflict avoidance as like a life strategy. So it's very unnerving for them to see men fight in any way, shape, or form. Unless it's on TV or sports or something like that where it's very controlled. But the minute it's uncontrolled, the minute it's like really like, someone's going to get hurt financially, emotionally, or physically, they just can't handle it.
So a guy enters the Manosphere with these issues. What's the positive thing that brings him out of that?
I can hop in on it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, it was I entered the Manosphere through the pickup community. So it was not through the men's rights community, although that was the one I found next, the next tribe. It wasn't through the Red Pill, which didn't even exist back then, really. And it wasn't MGTOW. It was pickup. So for me, what got me there was going out, literally going out to bars and clubs and socializing, approaching women. This is back in 2005, 2006, 2007. It was really picked up in after I left high school, obviously in 2006, and I'm talking like literally thousands of approaches, just like almost like a machine, just chipping away, almost like chiseling away like at a statue, just bit by bit, brick by brick, and just chipping away at social anxiety and just going through the motions, learning just almost by osmosis, almost just by experience, just bit by bit, day by day, night by night. Not only successful sometimes, but a lot of failures too. A lot of nights that didn't go anywhere. I had no idea how to pick up girls at a bar. I knew this was possible. I knew guys were teaching it, learning it like me. But at that age, I didn't have any money to buy products, a lot of which were shit anyway, garbage. And mostly I just wanted to get out there and learn on my own anyway. I'm always very independent minded like that. I want to learn on my own. Like I almost want to learn the hard way. That way I learn it like right in a deep, integrated kind of way. And for me, it was just going out. And that got me through a lot of, it was so repetitive, almost like going to the gym or something. It was so repetitive and but so therapeutic. It just got me through a lot of shit. It's something I could focus on night after night after night, talking to women, especially ones I wanted to bang. And I'm like, man, especially as I got better over time, I could, especially there was like a turning point back in 2007 when I finally had done probably like 1,000 approaches at that point. And I could feel it. I could feel it in my bones. I was like, I'm so close to actually pulling girls home for a same night stand or same night lay, one night stand. And I this is all in my head, but I'm like, man, I really feel this in my gut, And sure as shit, within a few weeks of like that feeling, I started pulling home. And I got my first like probably half a dozen lays within like a few weeks. Just got on fire with it.
Well,
that was my thing.
We've got Dip in here says a couple things. The only and I think let's break this down because we'll talk about right now we're talking about obviously the pickup and meeting women. That's part of the manosphere. That's the first part we're talking about. Yep. Now he said, oh, well, wrong one here. The only way to have genuine sex with a woman is to be a good-looking man. Then he says, pickup, also known as game, works if you are a good-looking man. And I'm going to disagree with him there.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because it's not always all about the sex. It's about being able to communicate. And I think pickup, to me, pickup is more about communication. It doesn't mean just going. It means learning how to communicate with a woman. A lot of guys are just awkward when they talk to a woman. They get weird and they get strange. So when you say only good-looking guys, can have sex, I'm going to say you're off there. And to me, that's, again, nothing against the black pill guys and black pill guys that are watching this. Black pill is the truth, okay? But I know their way of thinking is that, you got to be over 6 foot. It's all, what is it? Looks, money, and status is the only thing that will ever attract you to a woman. But I don't really think that's reality.
You can be ugly as.
I think it is a reality, but not the whole truth. I think that a lot of times there can be a great looking guy that's completely socially awkward that can't speak to a woman.
Yep. And
there are women that are what's the phrase that when somebody's attracted to intelligence? There's a
sapiosexual.
Sapiosexual. Yeah. I get that. We've got all these, phrases for somebody, but that is the truth. I think an interesting man is sexy. Also, take care of your outside too. Don't give up on the way you look,
Tony, if I can jump in on this.
Sure, go ahead.
You mentioned looks, money, and status, right? Is the way you phrased it. That's probably how the black pill guys phrase it. This is an ancient manosphere argument. This debate goes back to the 2000s, probably to the 90s. It's history repeating itself, right?
Yeah.
But it is evolving over time. It's not identical. It's history rhyming rather than repeating. It's new groups, new ideas a little bit, but a lot of the same fundamental issues.
Yeah.
But if you just take looks, money, status, like you said, what do all those things do? Those communicate things. They're all just communication signals. Looks communicates genetic fitness, right? That they want to breed with you or not. They're not even analyzing that a lot of times knowingly. It's kind of like hindbrain, lizard brain shit. Money. Do you communicate power and wealth and the ability to literally manipulate or force other human beings to do things? Like, do you have money to defend yourself in court from a serious, lawsuit, or, say you had to defend yourself with a firearm and you got sued for something, right? So looks, money, status, are you relationship powerful? Donald Trump, when he, ran for president back in 2016, he wasn't just wealthy with money. He was wealthy with relationships, something that a predecessor to him, in my opinion, Ron Paul, lacked in his 2012 and 2008 campaigns. Forget the political angle of this. A lot of it's money and relationship power. Do you have enough power to get through systems like that? Women are looking at you, analyzing you for that. And that's what looks, money, status communicate in different ways. Game and the ability to communicate verbally and through body language is just another form of communication. I would say, though, that to defend the black pill guys a little bit, if you're so low on the totem pole in this stuff, if you're so ugly or so short or so fat, yeah, I mean, you're in a different tier that even you're going to limit yourself. Like, if you're 400 pounds or 500 pounds, you can barely walk and you can barely get laid, I'm sure, at all. Even with an escort, you might have some difficulty. So there are thresholds to it, but let's say you're a guy who's a 7, dude, you can bang 10s. You don't have to be rich. If you had like super tight game, you could be a 7 and bang a legit 10 or like a legit 9. A girl who's above you, and she'll know she's above you in the looks hierarchy in the sexual marketplace, she still might fuck you because you're interesting, or you make her laugh and giggle in different ways, right? Or you make her vagina tingle for some reason, right? Maybe you look like an ex-boyfriend that she's all butthurt about. You don't know. It doesn't matter that you're a 7. It matters you look like a guy who fucking broke her heart 8 years ago.
I would say,
offensive. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say 97% of the guys out there are predictable. Every time they walk up to a woman, 97%.
Yep.
You could be ugly as hell. If you can make a woman feel something that she's not used to feeling, or think a way that she's not used to thinking, it's game on.
Bro, I walk up to women with this hat on, and if they piss
There
me
you
off,
go.
I'll walk away, and it says the feature is patriarchy in the back. They get double they get double mind. Look at Tony here, yeah. And we got Pat Stedman here in the fucking dark, man, the darkness. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I got
Silhouette of Pat Stedman.
I gotta get that light turned on.
He's gonna give us like the deal or no deal.
Let me try to get that light on.
thing going on there.
Okay, one second.
I'm glad we got a dating coach in here, by the way. I'm not.
Would you guys mind turn on that light? The porch light, yeah. On the porch light only. Maybe that's
Welcome, Pat Stedman.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here.
It's good to be here, man. It's good to be here. I got till 9. Yeah.
Good. What we're trying to do is bring the positivity in the Manosphere, because it just says sometimes. I mean, at the beginning of the show, Gonzo read the Wikipedia definition of the Manosphere. Is brutal, and I'm sure you guys have read that. And
it's pretty toxic.
Yeah, it's pretty toxic. So
well, the reality is that we're not going to be able to change that because it's propaganda.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what we do. I mean, it doesn't matter how we shift. In some ways, actually, I mean, I've said this before, but there are certain segments of the red pill community that are actually very much in service to the propagandists. Yep. And so they actually, there have been some times I've wondered whether certain people within the Manosphere who have been promoted and haven't seen any sort of pushback really from the media. In fact, maybe they've even been in cooperation with the media, including big media outlets. I've wondered sometimes whether or not they were intelligence agency assets. I don't think that they necessarily are, but I've wondered about it because they seem to really fit exactly what they would want to caricature the community as. So yeah, there's no way. I mean, until the system breaks down, they're always gonna give a shit. But you know what? I think that Anthony, and you really inspired me with this, Anthony, last year when you decided to go full bore with 22 convention and everything. Because I was kind of thinking at the time, like about a year ago, I'm like, man, it's gonna be pretty hot. Like I'll go in, but we're gonna get some pretty heavy fire. Yeah. But I understand now a lot more about this. It's just, who cares?
Yep.
More people pay attention to it. And there's plenty of people who don't comment necessarily, but who watch it and they're like, I'm going to watch these people because I know I've heard they're really shitheads. And then they listen to it. They're like, actually, it makes sense.
Dude, I was just at CPAC, like literally at CPAC, like fucking 30 minutes ago, right? Anthony Johnson, 21 Studios, CPAC.
I'm still on. I'm just letting the pipe, by the way.
I met a female attorney. She's a criminal defense attorney. She runs a men's rights firm, and she also works with military, you know, to some degree. And she was all about make women great again. She loved it as soon as she saw it. You know, she wants the hat tomorrow, all the stuff, right? This is an attorney who runs a men's rights firm. So it just reminds me of Pat saying here that people see it and they might not say anything, but if you talk to them in private, they're going to be like, fuck yeah. And they might even say, hey, give me a hat. Like, I really support what you're doing. So yeah, there was a lot of heat last year with, you know, 22Con, make women great again, but it doesn't matter. Who cares? I mean, I fucking just laughed my ass off through most of that. And then as long as you don't get canceled, you don't get, you know, deplatformed, who cares? The more heat and the more attention you can get from these mainstream sources, the more you can suck out their healthy audience. People who are like, hey, you know what? Maybe feminism's pretty gay. Maybe this dream dude actually has a point that feminism is really toxic and unhealthy for our nation.
And you know, just to throw another point in here, we talked about this last time, Tony, when I was on the show, but there's a ton of women coming into the manosphere. I mean, it's still, you know, majority man, but we went from like 9 to 1 to like 7 to 3. And it keeps dropping. There's just so many women who are coming in, and they might, you know, adulterate it a little bit in their own, or I don't even want to say adulterate it, but they have their own take. They're directionally correct.
Let's look at Carly's take real quick here. There's problem with men today that they are too concerned with us. And one of the thing that Steve the Dean always says is, why are you making it about the woman?
Yeah.
So this is it. Now her next comment is, I'm more attracted to men who do their own thing. Free agent lifestyle.
Yep.
Her third comment is, I get a sniff of desperation, I'm gone. So, I mean,
is her vagina juice.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
But look at this. But look at this, Tony. I mean, we talked about this last time. Look at, like, we have Carly last time. We had different like, women are the ones who are commenting. They're engaging so much more because they're going where the energy is. Andrea, right? They're going where the energy is. That they're paying attention to what we're saying because this is the future.
Yep. Yeah, and even with you mentioned women joining the manosphere, you know, I might have a lot of guys, rightly so, might have some issue with that. My goal with 22Con Make Women Great Again is to build like a femisphere.
Yeah,
there really is not a female pushback to feminism that's organized. You have these super loosely organized women, Lori Alexander, the Transform Wife. You have these YouTube channels. You have Jennifer Molesky. You have women pushing back against the narrative, but they don't have like their own movement yet. And I think the best thing we could do for them is kind of like set that up. That's really what my long-term goal with Make Women Great Again is, in terms of logistics, is to get them. There's even like magazines getting started now, EV Magazine, different stuff. Yep. That's good. That's very good that they're doing that. They got to get organized. Like the manosphere, as disorganized as it is, it's organized. There's tribes. There's at least 4 distinct tribes, if not a 5th now, with the patriarchs and the fathers. A lot of these are old. These ones are 10, 20, you know, more 25, 30 years old. Look at the pickup community men's rights. Warren Farrell got kicked out of the feminist movement back in like 1979, 1980. So it's good that these are set up, and the manosphere is more organized than people realize. And the feminists, you know, for example, are slowly kind of waking up to that as they dig into our conflicts and stuff. It's fun. It's fascinating to watch them dig into our stuff going on. They're more fascinated than we are with it. They're like, look at these fucking assholes. Like,
yeah. I mean, I would say, Anthony, like you're the key node, right, in trying to bring these different communities together. But I'd also think, to a certain extent, that the way the manosphere is quote unquote organized is the future of organization in general. It's this massive decentralization of different tribes. And I think that the femisphere or whatever is going to, you know, whatever they'll call themselves, right now they're kind of latching on to the energy of the manosphere, but they're already actually starting to form their own cohesive subsphere within the broader community. I think it'll continue to grow because, I mean, the reality is that the mainstream's boring. It's boring. It's not even about like, are they right or they're wrong, but they're boring. It's sterile. Like who wants to even pay attention to it anymore? If you're a woman, are you like really excited by what they're putting out there? No, you're not. It's over. It's done.
Only if you're angry at your boyfriend or husband, you like that.
Yeah, but I mean,
it mirrors politics. Look at the two main parties. Look at the Democratic Party. Who gets all the attention? The neoliberals or the hardcore left wingers like AOC, all the attention goes to the hardcore AOC people. Look at the Republican Party. Who gets all the attention? These neoconservative, boring old farts. They're boring. They're fucking. They're father time. They're just old as fuck and they're losers. They're all
Disgusting
cowards.
too. They're disgusting looking.
But the MAGA people get all the attention for for whatever the reasons are. It's not always cut and dry simple, but all the attention goes to these new waves in those parties, and that mirrors, I think, the manosphere.
Yep.
What happens culturally mirrors what happens politically. They're very related.
Dip in. We'll dive into real quick the black pill community. It says the only thing that helped me about the black pill community, everything about face and LMS. I don't know what he's saying, but for anybody that doesn't know, the black pill community is, again, we talked about this on the last show. I think it's an important corner of the manosphere. They're about the truth. It is, you could call it could we call it the alt-right of the manosphere? Would that be?
I would call it the pessimistic version of the truth.
Okay.
I mean, the red pill is supposed to be the truth. The black pill is like the pessimistic. They're not saying it's false. They're saying it's true, but it's like the worst outcome possible. And I think it's useful. Like I'm not out to get those guys. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. Dipin's asking me a question. Are
you still going to do live stream with Migtard Fictionary? Well, I'm going to say that's a shot. I enjoy listening to MGTOW Dictionary. I think it's entertaining. I think everybody's voice, to me, is needed. Whether you agree with it or not, that's your own issue. But I think MD has value in the manosphere, and he is under the umbrella of the manosphere. So I do think he provides value. And let me say something about this. The guys that would go to the black pill, say somebody's entering the manosphere, finds the black pill. Well, whether you agree with it or not, it might have saved that guy's life. I mean, that's the reality. That's the reality of the black pill.
Just by being able to find other men in a similar position or something like that? You mean?
Yeah. That's.
Well,
I think it might have saved his physical life, but black pill has a good chance his soul is still dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. I mean, I've said this even about people who, I have obviously tons of on-rec beef with, but Anthony said it perfectly here. It's a vibrational element. It's the truth, but it's also how do you interpret the truth? You could, on a very basic level, you could say we're gonna die, and they could be like, well, we're all gonna die, and that could be your mindset about everything. It's the truth, but what's your vibration? How do you engage with it? And I don't say this as any sort of like judgment thing. I mean, people are where they're at, but I 100% agree that somebody might be falling into like a suicidal state, and he grabs on to a community that tells him, you've been lied to. We're here together, and we don't believe in the lie anymore. And when they're kind of in the victim consciousness, but they have a community, they have a structure, they have something to at least polarize against, and that can save a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
But if you stay there, then at a certain point, it's like, well, what's the point, right? There's so much more to life that you can get out of it. So internalize the negative truth, and then be like, but you know what? I don't need to be defined by this. I can actually change a lot of these things structurally, and let's be part of the solution.
Yeah, I mean, to Pat's hitting the nail on the head. It's the way you engage with it. It's the way you respond to the truth. I think they take it to the maximum negative, which is always a possibility. I mean, there's a reason when you find the truth, you have a spectrum of what you're going to do in response to it. You can swing super hard negative or super hard positive with it. They call it. I mean, the opposite of the black pill is the white pill, right? And that's just like kind of hopium and copium, and it's like, it's positive to the point of being delusional. So. And there can be used to that. Maybe they can be used to the black pill too. Going super negative. Like I'm not opposed to negative things, and I've been promoting that for years in the manosphere. Back in 2016, me and Tanner Guzy kind of butted heads on this. He was much more in favor of positive masculinity versus being anti-feminism. And in 2017, I came back in my speech at my keynote at the 21 convention, and I was like, no, They're both important. We need to be very much in favor of positive masculinity and promoting masculinity just in a very positive way, for lack of a better term, but also being aggressively anti-feminism. These people, this is 2017. I'm like, these people are hostile to us as men and our very existence. They're hostile to masculinity. They're hostile to little boys in schools. They're hostile to fathers in courts and stuff. Like, this is fucked. This is a toxic movement that's aggressive. They're not passively like men are evil. They're like, men need to die. You know, Madonna was on Twitter last night, I think. You know, this famous celebrity, you know, female bitch, you know, talking about.
I blocked her.
Yeah.
After I saw that, I blocked her.
Well, she talked about explicitly, I think her tweet included killing the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And it's like, not only is this violent rhetoric, blah, 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 right? Not that anyone's going to give a shit, but this is just fucking delusional. We live in 2021, not 1921, 2021. There is no patriarchy in America. And if you think there is, you're fucking delusional. Unless you live in you might have patriarchy in your household. God bless. I hope you do. You need it. You might have it in your local community, maybe, if you're Amish or Mormon living in a super hardcore Mormon area. But outside of that, there's no patriarchy in America. This is fucking insane.
I mean,
and
Madonna
people actually believe this.
Madonna eats kids, so I could give two fucks what she thinks. That fucking demon.
That's the 5D take on Madonna. I'll take it. I'll take it.
If you eat kids, I don't care about your opinion. You know, it's like,
yeah. Most celebrities are just totally degenerate, brainless scumbags, like straight up.
There was something I saw where she wrote, and it must be one of her books, where she had sex with a kid, like a underage kid.
Whoa.
And it was, you know, now could you imagine if a man put that about having sex with an underage woman, what the repercussions would be? But because she's a superstar, whatever she is in her own mind right now, but you know.
yeah, she's a washed up old hag. You know, she's trying to stay relevant.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep. Like a virgin. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see what Nutshot says here. He says, as Coach Greg says, who will they turn to when the barbarians are at the gates?
Us, because we'll still save their asses at the end of the day. Always. We can't help ourselves.
I might not. I might just watch them burn. Like, I'm running way out of fucks to give, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think realistically speaking here, we're at this bifurcation. And you really see like society across the board, whether it's within families or friend groups or everything, they're sort of like sifting out into different categories. And a lot of women are coming over here and they're getting on the lifeboats. And I mean, I'm not saying that the other ones they're doomed necessarily, but their pain is only going to increase. Their pain is only going to increase. That's just the way it is. And I personally have no interest in even being around their energy. I mean, this is not just the women; it's men. This is the entire way of thinking. Just done with it. I'm done with it. I don't even want to participate in it. They've made their choice, and let's see what harvest they reap from their choice. We're building a different future, and their futures, they don't have a future. They don't have a future. It's everything they believe in is collapsing in real time, and leave them to it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, like you said, they're sterile.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They are.
I do want to ask Pat, if you don't mind, Tony, on the basic thrust of the show tonight is how does the Manosphere help men, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to ask, I think we should ask. Pat has to leave in a few minutes. I'd love to see what Pat has to say on that. I have my own thoughts.
But yeah, let's hit Pat up for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that the great thing about the Manosphere, and to sort of tie it back to all this, you know, the range of black pill to whatever pill, you know, red pill to white pill, is that it paces men based on where they're at. And so you have men in all sorts of different states of consciousness and emotional states, and they're all getting the truth, and they're having communities that are accepting them where they're at different levels. Now, obviously, my perspective is that, you know, your real range of truth is a little bit limited if you're on a lower vibrational area, but the reality is a lot of these guys who are in the black pill community, which is why you never hear me like talk shit about them or anything, they they're emerging from a really terrible reality, and having the truth presented to you, it's like, yeah, you have been lied to, but we've got you. You have a group of people who also understand that we've been lied to. That's so important. It is really a truth community, and I think it's focused initially, especially on, intergender relations and attraction, et cetera, maybe even before that. But now we're at the point where it has really been a societal analysis. And I don't think, one of the reasons why I feel so much at home here, even though in some ways I'm a little bit maybe different than other people in the Manosphere, is that in a lot of ways, this is where the fight is occurring. This is where the action is. This is where the revolution, you could argue, is in consciousness, especially when it comes to men. So I think that the impact that the Manosphere has made is we're talking about tens of millions of men here, tens of millions of men, and probably, I would venture to go 100 million men and tens of millions of women if I was really gonna, if you were to take even, degrees of separation, influence, because somebody who's been influenced by here may influence other people to it's a ripple effect.
Yep.
So it is. I really think it's when we go back in history, 50, even 20 years from now, people are going to look back. Anthropologists are going to look back, and they're going to be like, this spot was a huge part of the shift, huge part of the change in society. So yeah, it's saving people's lives, no doubt.
I'm exactly on the same page as Pat on that, and I think he has a really good eye on, like, even the numbers he's stating are accurate. They're where they're really at, and that's not even considering, like he's saying, 2 degrees of separation. How many private conversations have occurred over the past 25 years of the Manosphere or more, where some dude who watched a video, read a book, chirped in on his friend's relationship and saved a marriage, saved a family, or got a guy out of a toxic, abusive relationship because he spotted something was going on. We don't know these things. These are not even measurable. You can't even, there's no way to know them. But they've been going on by the millions for a long time. And it keeps growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's also why you have more tribes in it and stuff. And it's kind of interesting now. I think it is going to coalesce in the 2020s now, assuming the world doesn't end.
Anthony, that's a great point you made, and something you don't hear that often. What you said was how many times did the guy enter a Manosphere and actually save his marriage?
Yeah.
Do you guys ever hear that? That's the first time I think I've heard that. Like, the marriage was saved because of, now this guy took charge of his life. He took charge of his family, became the guy that she probably maybe first married. Yeah. He got complacent. Yep. So you don't hear that side of it. Like, you'll hear the side to where the marriage was destroyed. He got divorced, raped, and now he enters this. But that part that you just said, I think is really, really valuable and probably overlooked. And in fact, that's the first time I think I've heard that.
Well, that's also why the mainstream hates it. That's one of the reasons. They're trying to destroy the family and destroy the very concepts of man, woman, masculinity, and femininity. They're trying to zero all these things out and kill everything. And the Manosphere pushes back on that. The fact that it's actually saving marriages and putting things back together, that's very offensive to the feminist mainstream narrative. It's as offensive as it gets. It's not just making a guy more fit and stronger and whatever, right? More game aware or whatever, red pill aware. No, it's like actually like an actionable thing. It stopped a divorce and saved a family. It's usually, people have kids and stuff. But I think another issue too, though, is a lot of guys they'll have success like that and they're just not prone to talk about it. Maybe in private, but maybe even there, they don't want to say anything. I think they're just kind of embarrassed that the things got that bad and they almost fell apart and they got better. I love Pecco though.
Yeah. I know from my clinical experience, I've saved scores of men's marriages based on stuff I learned in the Manosphere. And I think to make it even bigger than that, the Manosphere probably saved my marriage. The amount I learned a ton of shit just being in this community and being exposed to different things and having to synthesize it and integrate it into my own sort of understanding. If I didn't have the community and I didn't have a lot of the ideas that were presented to me and having to engage with them and shift myself as a result, my marriage probably wouldn't have made it. So, and I've brought that into my practice. So, I can admit very freely, the Manosphere saved my marriage. Sure.
Can you give us a specific shift?
Sure. Sure. Well, I mean, I came into this stuff from pickup, and then I sort of went off in the spirituality world. And then I came back to the red pill because when I was in the spirituality community, there was a lot of things there that were true, but I also noticed a huge denial of just basic fundamentals of how men and women interact, male and female, like fundamental attraction, like not game, like fundamental, like what it is to be a man, what is masculine energy, what is feminine energy. Big denial of that in that community. And that, this sort of men aren't men. And I could feel that in myself. Like, how much are you really showing up as a man right now? And I started to understand that, in boundaries and all that stuff just came out of going through this process, understanding more of the female shadow, which I think the red pill is really good at explaining, the sort of dark side of women. So, I mean, within my own marriage, it was easy for me to pick up girls because I understood game, but game teaches you like a kind of tactical engagement. It doesn't necessarily teach you how to be a man. And I think that the red pill community is in many ways an extension of game because people collectively came to that understanding. But definitely it impacted me and was 100% like one of the probably the top influence in transitioning my marriage to like a really incredible relationship.
I think that game, I think the word game and PUA are kind of pushed in the same category, but I think it's very different. What do you guys think about that? I think that game also is a word that I want to say, not just black pill, but a lot of people think when you hear let me ask like Gene or Gonzo, when you hear the word game, what does that bring to your mind?
Gonzo, you go first because I don't know. Y'all might not like what I have to say about this one.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gonzo.
Well, when I hear game, I mean, what I think of is like, I think of like strategy, right? Are we talking strategy in a relationship, or not in a relationship per se, but as far as like, we're talking about, like, I see it tied in with these things like frame and how it's like how you present yourself. It's how you interact. It's like, I see it almost as, like you're playing a chess game, and these are the moves you're making. That's the best way I can describe it, like the simplest way I can describe it, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'll put it real simple. To me, game is knowing how to interact with a woman. And when you say game, it means it's a game. It's fun. It can be fun. It's that polarity. It's that how do I put it? It's that excitement that you're creating by using game. Game, I think, is a word that people don't truly understand. Yeah. I think game kind of goes hand in hand with PUA and then PUA, pickup artistry. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think pickup artistry is more about communication. I think that's another term that is not used properly. I think pickup artistry is more about being able to interact. And if you can interact, I think a lot of guys think that pickup PUA is more about manipulation, which I've got to disagree with that.
Well, there's a history of, there's a reason they were able to slander that community in that way. And there's been plenty of scumbags in the pickup artist community, like, no doubt. Pat knows the truth.
I mean, I look at game as a tactical awareness of things. How do you interact with a girl? What do you do in a situation? And as your game increases, your awareness increases. So it's kind of like, if you look at it from take a military analogy, it's like having more reconnaissance. If you have a full picture view of the scenario, then you know exactly what tactic to use. Strategy, I would classify more with frame. Like, what is your agenda? What's your goal in mind? And then the game flows from that. And I think that that's where you can kind of look at pickup artistry. I mean, human psychology is human psychology. Female psychology is female psychology. But how do you use it? And the reason that a lot of pickup artists have had a bad, well, first off, pickup artistry is a simple application of game, right? To pick up girls and to hook up with them, rather than to necessarily make, like, you know, for instance, a sexually and, you know, intimate marriage, right? The game is slightly different, but you're looking at still fundamentals that are correct about women. You're still dealing with a woman. But some guys, based on their own objective, will use it maybe for darker or manipulative purposes, and as an easy way to slander the entire awareness of female psychology, to say that, oh, well, if you know these things about women, then obviously you're a bad person, which is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But that's what the propaganda used for, and they use certain actors who maybe do push the limit a little bit far to slander everybody who has awareness of how women operate and won't deal with bullshit from women that they throw at them.
Yeah, I would just say, quite honestly, y'all don't take this the way that this phrase is normally taken, but I am not interested in playing games with women. I'm just not. Anytime I deal with a woman, it's for some sort of a purpose. And when I hear game, I get the definitions and I agree with it. And I see it and all that, but I don't like the term because I'm just all about business with women.
Yeah, but to again, I know I get what you're saying, but
yeah,
you might be, I don't know, you might be understanding it a little bit different.
No, I'm just taking a different, more serious approach to it.
I'll ask Pat Stedman. I'm sure he games his wife.
Yeah,
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just being natural as a man to keep your woman attracted and hot for you, you know?
Yeah.
I hate to call it game. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
Well, I think that a lot of guys who are naturals have sort of an implicit awareness. And I think if your frame, your sort of strategic objective is so clear, you know, you're so grounded in your power, then you have to think a lot less about those things because they sort of are downstream of it. A lot of guys who learn game, it's like a scaffolding kind of situation. I think actually Jack Murphy mentioned that a long time ago. And I like that analogy. It's like a scaffolding for a lot of guys who don't have the mindset, you know. In the ideal, they learn, okay, this is what a guy who understands women does, so let me do it. But they're not necessarily grounded in the beliefs and mindsets from it. As time goes on, you don't really think about game. Like, at this point in my relationship, I don't even know that I would consider it gaming my wife.
Exactly.
I would consider it much more, because at this point, actually, you know, this is where you kind of come full circle, is that if your relationship gets to a certain level of trust and intimacy, there's enough fundamentals there. Actually, a lot of things that people will like throw out in blue pill sort of circles about communication becomes really relevant because you're not fucking around with that stuff anymore. If you were to try to do that at this point, it would seem like adolescent. It wouldn't make sense. But I work with guys on a large spectrum of their interactions with women. So I'm not going to tell a guy who meets some girl who's got all these red flags, hey, just, you know, communicate exactly how you feel. You know, it's ridiculous. There's a context to all these things. There's a context to dynamics. And I think it's important to understand that explicit use of game has a role. And I have to also say that my awareness of game has allowed me to transcend game in a certain sense, because if I didn't understand it, I wouldn't know to not play the game, so to speak. I would get caught up in it.
I have a definition I'd want to provide for this argument, this context. I think it'd be pretty useful. So my understanding of game, my definition of it that I keep in my head, and that I'll tell people in real life if they ask me, which occasionally comes up with old college buddies and shit like that. Game is your best understanding of how to interact with women in a way that's going to benefit you or achieve a goal or a desired outcome. So everyone has game.
Yeah.
You know, Gene says, you know, he's not into the game, the concept, and he wants to just have a purpose with women and, you know, no bullshit. That is his game. That's game. Like that's your best understanding of how to interact with women in your life. That's going to work for you in terms of what you believe to be true, right? And you're going to update that over time. 6 months from now or 6 years from now, it might be a little bit different. It could be radically different if you had a major shift in life, but probably not. You'll probably keep updating it over time, which you should. That's game. I mean, you know, someone else might have a whole fucking routine stack from leftover from the late 90s from Ross Jeffries, and that's their game.
NLP stack, right?
Yeah, but if they really believe that and they've studied it and they practiced
100%.
it and it gets them laid, they're gonna be like, well, if you don't like my style of game, go fuck yourself,
Yep.
because this shit gets my dick wet, and that's what I want to do. Or Pat Stedman's saying he's going full circle, blue pill, this and that. This is Pat Stedman's game for his wife and for his life, and it works for him in a way that achieves his goals. So that's game.
It's
He also
context.
understands. Yeah, it's context specific. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be, you're always going to personalize it. It's always going to have an element of personalization, like a thumbprint.
I'm glad you said that, because Carly says game is dishonesty. No, absolutely not.
It can be. If you want to do, women love dishonest scumbags. Look at Instagram.
Yeah.
What is every hot girl doing, right? They're bitching about dishonest men. Does that mean all women love dishonest men? I don't know about that. That's a whole debate in itself. But obviously, millions of women apparently hate dishonest men, and yet they keep fucking them. So that's just straight bullshit. Game is not that.
I got to jump, and I'm happy to take a last question. But just to make a real quick comment on this, I was on a call with a client today, and I my big goal for guys is, okay, where they're at, what's their level of awareness, what situation are they dealing with, and I'll tell them exactly what's going to happen. I'll say, but you're going to go through it this way probably. So just be aware of what's going to happen, aware this is how she's going to respond. And it's like they respond exactly as I predicted to, but that's how they begin to learn and move past it. So for instance, this one guy I've been working with has been dating this girl, and they have a strong connection, whatever, but she's damaged, and she's not going to want to be with him if he commits to her, right? He wants a relationship, but she wants abuse. She doesn't want to be treated well. And so, he's going through this process with her, and he's seeing that the more he gets closer to her, the more she becomes, okay, well, I have to hang out with this guy friend. Oh, you're getting jealous. You're being, gaslighting him and everything. I'm like, well, see, this is what's going to happen. So now you got to leave her, right? Or I present him with different options. You can either go with option one and you can be humiliated. You do option two, you can, push her off and fuck her and fuck other girls, and you'll see that she'll respond to you. But that's not what you want. But you'll be able to see her psychology, or you can leave, right? Completely cold shoulder, tell her what her issues are. I said probably you're going to do between 2 and 3, right? And we're going to work through that. But the point of this is that a lot of women do respond to being treated badly because they don't believe that they deserve to be treated well. And so if you're a guy and you treat a girl who has this sort of low self-esteem, like a queen, well, you're fucked. You're fucked, simply put. But
she'll hate you for it, right?
She'll hate you for it. She'll hate you for it. And she'll try to find ways to destroy the relationship and lower your value. But if you're with a girl who has this sense of self-esteem, and you try to play a lot of the games that people in, the basic red pill community try to put out there, you're also fucked. Those girls will just laugh at you, and they'll see right through you. So you have to. Everything is context. Game is completely context dependent.
Yeah, Pat knows his shit, man. Pat's a retired poon slayer. I love it, man. I love it.
I love it. Great input by Pat Stedman tonight, man. That's awesome. I'm stoked that he's here. I was really on our last stream with Pat Stedman. Anybody check it out, but it was really in depth about. I was curious about 3D, 4D, 5D vibrations, and Pat talks a lot about that. And I think that's an important concept that I think a lot of guys could really use that concept. And it's about vibing with a woman. I mean, it's a simple. I don't want to say it's a simple concept, but it is. But I think men need to grasp that when they come into the manospheres, learning how to interact in vibrations and thinking in 3D, 4D, and 5D. I got a whole different viewpoint on that, and I was very, very interested in his breakdown on that. So anybody goes back to our Thursday night video, probably 2 weeks ago, but check that out with Pat Stedman. It's awesome. Really is just a great breakdown on what Pat does. And if anybody is out there watching and needs some coaching, and I don't think Pat is your typical coach. I think he really works with the individual. And you got to fill out an application, if I'm correct, even to get coaching, which I think is really cool. So you don't take anybody, correct? I mean,
no, I don't. Yeah. I mean, but the reality is that at this point, people don't reach out to me really unless they're unless they're at a stage ready to work with me. I mean, earlier on, you know, you'd have all sorts of garbage, but really now when people fill out an application, they already kind of understand enough of what they're gonna get. But I appreciate everything that you guys said. That's really kind. I mean, I guess the only thing I just mentioned, definitely watch that show because I go into it in detail. But 5D, 4D, 3D. I mean, if you're looking for a general system of how to operate in the context of game, I mean, that's it, right? Based on those structures, you'll get an idea of it. But guys, I got to run. I appreciate being on. Love you all. and
thanks for coming on, Pat. For sure, appreciate you, man.
Happy to come on anytime. I'll see you, Tony.
Always
Anthony,
great.
all you guys. Yeah.
Always great input, Pat.
See you, Pat.
Brother. Take care. Yeah, that was awesome. What a great little special guest we had there. So
Pat's good. Pat's a good man. Love that guy.
Yeah, I think Pat delivers a lot of great information for men. I think he really does. I think he hits you at your level, I think is what it is. And again, we got very in depth on our last conversation. I did have an interview with him at probably, I think it was September. That's back in the channel, so check that out. But the last one was super in depth about just about what he talks about. And you know, when people hear like vibrations and 3D, 4D, you think it's almost like voodoo or something like that. But he really breaks it down in a way that you can understand it. Because myself, I wanted to understand it, what he was talking about. And I think that a guy that is learning to interact with women can really, really pull a lot out of that conversation. So
I want to add this comment about Pat. Maybe he'll watch it later too. We'll see. We'll send it to him. But the Manosphere has always been filled with guys, particularly the pickup artist wing and the red pill wing. It's been filled with guys who, and MGTOW as well, right? Who really are just not good with women, right? They almost certainly would not have found it. It's really rare I found a guy in the Manosphere who found the Manosphere and was already good with women, a natural. It happens, but it's like fucking 1 or 2% of the population that finds it. The consequence of this is something that these guys aren't thinking about when they join it. They're focused on their own issues and their own problems and their own goals and their own values. That's fine. What I'm trying to do is expand the context for them of what really goes on with the Manosphere. So what I mean is, and what I'm saying is, when guys find the Manosphere by the millions, this happens every year on YouTube and Twitter and Reddit and blah, 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 right across the internet. They're guys who are not good with women, and they also are guys, and they don't know it really, they don't understand how to spot guys who are good with women because they're not good with women. It takes one to know one, and they ain't one. They're kind of loosely aware of this, but they're not connecting the dots on very basic concepts in life. Like takes one to know one. You probably learned that in school as a kid. You know, maybe 8 years old, you learn that or some shit, right? You heard that. So that's kind of the reality. And Pat is a guy who actually gets laid. I mean, he's married now, but even before that, he got laid. And a lot of coaches in the Manosphere don't. They fuck ugly fat women or no women, or they bang hookers and shit. All kinds of stupid fake bullshit. They suck with women. It's been a systemic, fraudulent problem for decades in the Manosphere. And I think it's a little bit better now today than it was, say, 15 years ago when I joined. It was really fucking bad back then. But it's still like a really serious problem, and the improvement is not major. It's still systemic fraud. So what I'm saying is these guys don't know how to spot a legit dude, and that's why they get conned and they get sucked into so much bullshit, unfortunately, and so many fucking shithole courses that don't do anything for them. Just waste money and waste time.
Carly made a comment. I'm going to respond to this. I'm going to respond to it real quick, and then I have to use the bathroom. I want you guys, if you need to learn how to game less, you might be a douchebag. Carly, let me tell you something. There's a lot of guys that are say we're in a marriage. They met their high school sweetheart, and they end up in a divorce. That guy has no concept of game. He has no concept of how to interact with a different woman. He's been interacting with that woman for 15, 20, 30 years. Now he's thrown into the dating marketplace. So what does he do? He's got to learn how to interact again. And to me, game is interacting with a woman. To me, that's game. And I think I'll call it advanced game. Advanced game would be when you are in a relationship, or a relationship is evolving. I think it's knowing how to Game, I'll put it simply. Game would be knowing how to handle a shit test. That would be real game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's reality. You know, again, we're using that term game, but Carly, just so you know, think about a guy who's been in a relationship. But you guys want to go on that? I have to use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, I want to rip her new asshole on this one.
Go ahead.
So she's game shaming. This is what this is. It's game shame, game shame, whatever you want to call it. It just comes to mind immediately looking at it. Carly Ellison. It's really it's what a lot of, it's not just her. It's how a lot of women think, right? Everything in life just comes so easy to them and so natural. Like they never go through rejection. I've been rejected by thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of women. Like about probably close over 6,000 women have rejected me straight up in some way, shape, or form. Not even to mention internet bullshit on like apps and stuff. Women get almost none of this. They get nothing but fucking dick pics flooding their inbox. Shitty ones, of course, not even good ones. shitty one-liners, you know, left over from 20 years ago, Zoolander, like Wedding Crashers. And they have an unlimited smorgasbord of penis thrown at them. They have an unlimited selection of the opposite sex. So they have no idea what men go through. They have no. It's very, and it shows us that these women that bitch about this stuff about game, that they're not empathizing. They have low empathy. That why are there millions of men, tens of millions of men actively studying the opposite sex? Well, probably because they love women and want to be with them and build families and, you know, have amazing sex. But they don't think about this stuff because it's all automatic to them. Life for men is like manual, like a manual car. Life for women is like driving automatic. It's a lot different. And this chick too, I mean, I guarantee you this Carly chick, I could get her on her knees praying to my cock with game. That's what I could do. I would have her pray to my cock, say fucking prayers to it. So you want to say game is bullshit and they're douchebags? I could get you making faces and praying to my dick with game. And you want to shame it, make fun of it? Go fuck yourself. And rant.
She says, game is dishonesty. Go to the bathroom. Okay. We don't reject you because you don't have game.
Women reject men a lot of times today because they're delusional. I mean, American women are fucking insane. Like, they have a big reckoning coming. And, like, dude, the level of ease it is for me to bang foreign women that are way hotter versus American women who are stuck-up brats, like, they're going to get a reality check, I think, in the coming future in America. The sexual marketplace will collapse. I think it's in the process of collapse, slow motion. And it's going to crash like a stock market. And all these OnlyFans hoes and these sugar baby thoughts and these Tinderellas, they're all going to fucking eat dirt. And it's going to be brutal, you know? And men like me are not going to give a flying fuck. Like, I care enough about women to help them in positive ways and make women great again. The rest of them that want to be assholes and shit talk men and game shame, they're going to burn. And we're not going to come save you. Nope.
Yeah, so I think when we talk about game, I think there's so many different definitions of it. But to me, I think it's a basic thing. Again, when I came into Manosphere content, the first thing I noticed is I'm thinking like how so none of these guys or a lot of these guys aren't meeting women. And then I realized a lot of it had to do with social media. I grew up in a different world. I mean, I did. Yeah. Grew up in a different world. So guys that are, you know, used to dating apps and different things like that, I don't think that it took me a while to understand that, and I will say empathize with them, because I had to realize that now, yeah, could I go up and talk to a woman? Not a problem. Was I afraid of rejection? Absolutely not. So when guys enter this, and again, when we talk about game, I think game goes under a lot of different headings. Again, you can be married and you can game your wife. To me, game is playful. That's what it means to me. It means playful. It means knowing how to react when you're shit tested, knowing how to react to make that woman excited, or to just create that desire. To me, that's game. And
but these are specific to your personality. These are unique to you. Yeah. Other guys, dude, I've seen guys who are absolutely robotic, social robot weirdos but they have like they have memorized stacks of like conversations they want to have with women, and that will actually work. Like it's the responsiveness of women is very plastic, and I don't mean plastic like a plastic water bottle, like like this or some shit. I mean plastic in the there's another definition of it. It's not used as much. For example, skeletal muscle in your body is plastic. It's very responsive as its alternative definition, one of the secondary ones. And game and women's minds are very plastic. Like if they get alpha feels, it can come in 1,000 different flavors, 1,000 different variations. And being charismatic and joyful and playful, that's one style of that women will definitely respond to. A lot of them at some point in their lives, at many points in their lives, it's going to vary. It can even differ by age, demographic, race, religion, ethnicity, all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff to work. That's what's so confusing, I think, to guys. It's like working out. There's so many different programs to work out and lift weights and get stronger. It's dizzying. It's confusing to men. One of the reasons for that is that muscle is very, very responsive to almost anything you throw at it. You can lift bags of horse shit and get big biceps, or you can lift weights, or you can do this many reps or that many sets and this and that. With women in game, it's much the same. They're hyper responsive to input from men. As long as there's legitimate masculinity to it and they think they can get something out of it, which is not that hard to convey, to communicate if you understand it. Yeah, so there's a million things that can work on women. And that's why it's, I think, so confusing to guys and to even women like this maybe are looking at it, bitching about it.
Mm-hmm.
Dippin asked me, oh, here it is. Dippin asked me, what is your email? If anybody wants to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter at T21Surfer. You can send me a message there. Right now, I'm not going to give out an email.
Yeah, I wouldn't give Dippin your email. He seems like a scumbag.
Well, I think Dippin is, I believe he was on Midtown Dictionary. If it's the same Dippin.
Yeah, this guy
Still a
just
mystery.
he's just always putting out dumbass questions.
Yeah, so I think he's, I'm not sure what he's doing, but it is what it is. So, but let's, I'll tell you what, we talked about game and PUA and the Manosphere. Let's talk about some of the other things that the Manosphere has helped men. Let's talk about physicality. Let's talk about lifting weights, losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think one of the newest entries to 21 Studios is Jay Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
Love the guy. Love the guy. You want a guy that's going to help you get into better shape, high intensity training. Anthony, you've been doing high intensity training for a long time.
Yeah,
So,
I love it. Yeah, and I was the first to introduce that to the Manosphere back in 2009 with Drew Bay, and then in 2010 with Dr. Doug McGuff and Bill DeSimone. Jay Vincent's an evolution on the speeches from back then. It's the same community of guys I'm inviting to the event, and therefore trying to infuse into the Manosphere and push it in what I believe is a more scientific and a better direction. But even, for example, the Red Pill community versus the pickup artist community, the Red Pill community has always been big on lifting. Lift, 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 lift. And I love that from day one when I found it more formally in 2016. I'd seen it previously in terms of traffic setting to YouTube, but I'm a proud scumbag, man. You ain't got nothing on me, bro.
I like how he said, you are a scumbag, Anthony.
Dippin, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a nice warning right now. I believe in free speech, but I am the dictator of this channel. So you're going to have some respect or you're going to be gone. It's that simple. So I asked one fucking time, and this is the one fucking time. So respect my guest and respect this chat or you're gone permanently. I appreciate you coming in, but I'm not going to take shit like that. So I'm a nice guy. Okay. I'm a good guy, but please don't fuck with me or my guests, period.
On that note, I mean, I get the language and running a channel, but, girls call me scumbags. You know that, Tony. Mm-hmm. And they love it. They call me scumbag before I bust a nut in them. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. I mean, I take pride in it in some ways.
Yeah.
Coming from a nice guy perspective, getting called a scumbag by women is a very positive development. It's like, yeah, I've achieved, legit, genuine scumbag status.
Gonzo is trying so hard to not bust out laughing right now.
Well, this is what happens, Dippin. I'm going to give you a little piece of advice. Okay, men talk locker room. I know you might be Indian, but American men talk locker room. We can bust balls, okay, and you can walk away and still respect each other, okay? I can say Dippin', you're a fucking dipshit. You know, I can call you Dippin' dipshit right now. And you can take it as a joke or you can take it to fucking heart. That's up to you. But my suggestion to you is that if you have something to say, put it on your channel and say it. Okay, just like we're doing here. Again, you know, I'm a good guy, but you know, no disrespect to anybody. Okay, so take the locker room talk and deal with it because that's what men do.
Now, Tony, as far as your question regarding fitness and lifting for the Manosphere and getting healthier, it has been pretty good for that. The Red Pill community actually was a big development for that. Like I had introduced this into the Manosphere back in 2009. I took a lot of heat for it. The pickup artists, they viewed my convention, 21 convention in 2009 as a pickup artist convention. And even from day one in 2007, at the first event, 2007, we had a fitness and style speech. So to me, it was always more expansive. So in 2009, when I made that more official and started repeating that, that to me was natural and normal. And to them, it was antagonizing. They saw it as a pure, like a purist, pure pickup artist convention, because almost all the speakers at that point had been pickup artists. And I was like, no, it's going to be number one, whatever the fuck I say it is. Number two, it's for men. It's for self-improvement for men, like masculine self-improvement. And to me, lifting weights and getting healthy is very obviously in that camp. It's going to help you with women, number one. Number two, it's just going to help your life. And that's probably most important of all. So the Red Pill community, though, as a tribe, they were the first ones to really pick up on that. And the pickup artist community did not. It was very minimal. That's why I got so much pushback for it when I introduced it, when I was still mostly in the pickup artist camp of the community, the pickup artist or the Manosphere community. So I give full credit to the Red Pill community for pushing strength training, which I believe, and so does Jay Vincent, basically real exercise is strength training. Resistance training, strength training, lifting weights, whatever you want to call it. Technically, you don't have to lift weights. There's other ways to exercise using machines, isometrics, all kinds of stuff. But it's basically, exercising skeletal muscle in an intense, safe way. And it's very healthy for men. That's why they push it in the Red Pill wing of the Manosphere so hardcore. I wish that would push over to other wings of the Manosphere. The men's rights guys, they focus on, politics and family law and this and that, but policies. But they should push strength training. Like it would actually push the culture, however big they are, a couple 100,000 guys or whatever, it would push them that much more in that direction. You should see the leaders of the men's rights actually take that up, and they don't, unfortunately. And they should. Mystery in the pickup artist community, Neil Strauss, they're scrawny dudes. Mystery's tall, but he's like very thin. This is stupid. They both should be lifting weights. And the fact that they didn't, it was a disservice to the communities that they were a part of. And credit due where it's due. The Red Pill community pushed that, and it's a very good thing. And they probably have, dude, I know guys from 21 Convention that have lost 100 pounds and kept it off for years at a time. Even my own sister, this spilled off to her and some of her friends. My sister, my older one, she lost 40 pounds of weight when I moved back to Orlando. And I just kept pushing, some of the speakers' books on her. Finally, after all these years, she's like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Sure as shit, she lost 40 pounds in 3 months, which was like just astounding to her, right? It was so easy. And she was loving it. Women, they want to be thin and lean. This is a very big thing for women today. That she got that like butter. She was like, holy shit. To the point that none of her friends even believed her. So it's been a good thing. It's been a very positive development. And I don't know of any really negative. I'm very skeptical of the TRT craze that's in the Manosphere right now.
Yeah.
But with rare exceptions, though, the Manosphere I think has been very healthy for men, physically speaking.
Yeah. I mean, Gonzo, you want to share your story on your weight loss?
Yeah, that was I'm trying to think here. It was in around August 2017, I think. I think it was August, like somewhere around 2017. Yeah, I was just fed up. I was just I think I was about 300 pounds, somewhere around there. And I was like, wow, and I just carried a lot of weight from a very young age, and so I was like, it seemed like just like this insurmountable thing for a long time. And yeah, I was just reading up on weight loss and reading up on how people were doing it. And I think Elliot Hull said something along the lines of like, he said he made a video, like maybe you guys would know this one, but he made a video where it was like, you do these 3 things, and by the end of the month you'll be a totally new person. And it was like, you get up and you I can't even remember what they were right now off the top of my head, but it had to do with calories. It had to do with the meal plan or something. It was very simple, and exercise. And so that's what I ended up doing. I just started walking, big time. I didn't do any heavy lifting or anything like that. I just started walking a ton, and I started off small because I had trouble going for like 15 minutes. Like it was difficult just to walk for like 15 minutes.
Damn.
And so, yeah, I built up my endurance, and over the course of, I'd say it was less than a year, I ended up getting down to 170. So,
And that's how many pounds in a year?
100 something.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's,
Damn.
I mean, so anybody out there think they can't do it? Well, Gonzo is a pure testament to what you can do when you put your mind to it.
Now I went vegan, so don't do that.
Yeah, well,
Tell people to not go
Yeah.
vegan to do it. You don't have to be vegan to do it. I did it the wrong way, and it screwed me up in the long term. So yeah, I tell people.
Dude, people don't know this. I was vegan for a year of my life back in college.
Oh yeah.
But
How'd it
yeah,
go?
congratulations. That's fucking awesome, Gonzo. Dude, 100
Oh,
pounds in a year. 100 pounds ever is fucking epic. In a year, that's like 10 pounds a month, man. That's badass. Yeah. But yeah, people don't know that about me. I was vegetarian in college for a few months, and then vegan for a full year, and pescatarian a little bit after that too. These are all mistakes. Like, this is all bad stuff, but it was me experimenting and learning about just having a genuine interest in nutrition and better health, just navigating through these different minefields. But I think veganism, yeah, is like super bad, super toxic and retarded. But I did it for a year, and I have no regrets about that. No, yeah, when people are vegan, like, I'm not that worried about it, unless it's like a lifelong thing and they're moralizing about it. I hate that crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I've learned is that there's like two different types of vegans. There's the vegans that end up super, and I'm talking long term, they end up super emaciated, or they end up obese. They end up like morbidly obese.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I know. I've known both. Yeah. Yeah, it sucks.
yeah. And Carly, yes, Gonzo is married.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Wow.
a newlywed. So what, about 4 months, Gonzo?
Yeah. December last year. So
Good for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a newlywed. So, well, let's go down another road. How the Manosphere has helped men. And Anthony, you're we got Tony Johnson now.
Yeah.
I just noticed that. When did that change?
I did it during Gonzo's speech.
Oh, did you? Okay.
amazing.
But also guys enter the Manosphere and you get business ideas. So I know, Gene, you're an entrepreneur. You have a coffee business. You have I guess a landscaping business, basically. Gonzo, you're an entrepreneur. And again, that word is, sometimes I think about, people say I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm not sure who said this. It might have been Rich Cooper. I don't know. But some people call themselves an entrepreneur if they basically just created another job for themselves. You follow me there? So I think an entrepreneur is, that's kind of a loose word, but I think entrepreneurship, is running your own business, doing what you want to do when you want to do it, and making money. I think that's important. But I think, we've got 3 guys. I've been self-employed for a long time. I know Primal Man Gene, we call him Man here, is really an entrepreneur. Gonzo is an artist and does other things, so we would call him an entrepreneur. And I think probably the biggest entrepreneur on this panel tonight is Tony Johnson. So, go ahead and give your take on that, if you would.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were gonna have man go. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, man, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. My first business, my second business is actually 21 Studios, the 21 convention. My first ever business, I was 16 years old. It was called the Washman. One of my first jobs, I think actually was I worked for the Waxman down in Southwest Florida. The Waxman was a mobile detailing company. They cleaned basically and waxed cars, planes, RVs, boats, motorcycles. They were just a big local mobile detailing company. And eventually I just had the idea, it's kind of the hair at my ass, to start my own company called The Washman. And these guys were older than me. They were like in their late 20s. I was like 16 at the time. They got a kick out of it, that I'd be inspired to do my own business like that. And I did that. And then legally, I think you'd call that a sole proprietorship back in 2000. Man, that was fucking 2004, something like that. But that wasn't a very serious business. It was very small. And I kind of tied it up and gave it over to the wax man when I left that town. I went to Orlando. And soon after that, started my business, the one I have now, 21 Studios. And now I own and operate 3 businesses. 21 Studios, which is kind of the B2B version of 21 Convention. We're filming a big event, for example, this year in Orlando for one of our speakers. I won't give out any details yet, but that's going good. We've been doing that actually since 2019. I've been focused more heavily on that. In 2019, we filmed at each of our 3 events. We filmed for speakers, their content privately in different workshop rooms, stuff like that. Content that we do not own. We just have the film crew there available to do it. My other business is the 21 Convention, and the third business is, of course, the Redman Group, which I was a partner in initially. Now I'm the full owner of it. But I love it. The Manosphere has pushed entrepreneurship, I think, in a pretty good way. I do think entrepreneurship is kind of a fad today, kind of trending in the general culture, and I'm not really in favor of that, although it is what it is. I think the whole world's fucking on fire right now, going nuts, clown world. But in the Manosphere, I think it's pretty good. I'm wary and kind of leery, I think you'd say, or skeptical of courses and stuff to teach guys how to do this. I mean, entrepreneurship should be your own thing, and you should navigate it, I think, on your own as much as you can. It doesn't mean you should never take coaching or, never to learn anything from anyone, but most of it you need to learn on your own. And if you don't, I think you're going to pay for it later on. But I love it, man. I love running my own business, 3 of them. I love the main one, of course, is the 21 Convention, but all of them together. It's been the whole style of my life. I don't know how else to live. I wake up every day. I do whatever I want, for better or for worse. And I've been able to kick ass with that for about 15 years now. And I fucking love it. Like, I don't know how else to live. I wouldn't want to live any other way. And I did have jobs. I did have like a job briefly, a couple of them. For example, I worked at Sears selling TVs and stuff, and then in Circuit City selling TVs as well. So I've had like retail jobs, which I think you'd probably put on level with like, being a bartender or a waiter or something like that. But I love being an entrepreneur. I got no hate against people who work, standard jobs. Unless you're going to sell your soul and fucking watch your life, dwindle away. That's a problem. But entrepreneurship's a great thing. In the Manosphere, entrepreneurship is a very masculine endeavor. That's why there's not a lot of female entrepreneurs and CEOs and shit. There's a lot of different reasons, but it really comes down to it's a masculine thing to lead a company or to build a company or to start a company. It's building, building, building. Women aren't builders. They're like growers. They grow one baby at a time. They don't build families. Men build families. They lead families. And the same is true for businesses. And I think that's why you don't see that many women, starting businesses. And it's very natural that they don't. But the Manosphere, which is a very masculine place by design, or it should be masculine, this is encouraged. And I think it's a pretty good thing. The Manosphere has done a good job promoting that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been self-employed for about 30 years now, and
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine it another way. When I started my own business, yeah, it's a little tough at first, but I realized that, wow, I can make the same amount of money in a day or two that I was slaving for somebody for a week. So let's go to Man on his take on that, because you're self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, you have a couple businesses going. So.
Yeah, we talked about this Friday night in a lot of detail. Me and Gonzo did towards the second half of the video on my YouTube channel. But I would say there's nothing wrong. I love entrepreneurship, and I'm like Anthony. I wouldn't want to live any other way. And I wouldn't say, yes, hard work has paid off for me, but I also feel blessed that I can do what I can do. Not so much what I've done so much, but just truly blessed. But anyway, when it comes to like employment and things like that, it's we live in a different world with online apps and things like that. Like, I'm a guy where we talked about Friday night, like, go in, start at the bottom. Like, people don't understand what it's like to start at the bottom. They don't realize they have to start at the bottom. Build a foundation.
Sorry, I'm just looking at this comment.
Yeah, I know. I see him. I've been keeping up with him. And build up. So go in and shake a man's hand, Oh, but otherwise, I love entrepreneurship. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking, and we were talking about you roasting your coffee. So anybody wants, let me tell you something. Anybody wants great coffee, go to Primal Man, go to your Instagram. Your Instagram is also, it's Mantidote.
Mantidote, like antidote. Yep.
Like antidote, but Mantidote with an underscore MAN underscore TIDOTE, correct?
That's it. Yeah.
But can people order coffee there?
Yeah, I'll ship it out to you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it's great coffee. I told you that coffee that you sent me was absolutely incredible. But that's something when we were talking, obviously offline here, and you were telling me about how you were roasting coffee and how much you enjoy doing it. I think that was awesome. And I think that's part of entrepreneurship is that you enjoy doing that, and the satisfaction you get from people enjoying your work, which is one of your businesses, coffee. I think that's awesome. It's like me. I sent you guys pictures of crown molding that I ran in a house. And to me, when that job was done, I loved looking at it and seeing the crown molding done throughout this whole house, how nice it made the house look. But to me, that was also satisfaction. So I think entrepreneurship, not only does it, you're not working for the man, you're working for yourself. So when you're done at the end of the day, you have something that you produced, you brought to the world, something that, Gene, you brought your coffee, you brought your landscaping to the people. Anthony, Tony Johnson, you bring 21 studios, you bring all this positive influence for men to the whole world. So that's something at the end of the day. So Gonzo, let's go to you next.
Yeah, after Gonzo, I want to give a comment on that.
Sure. Yeah. It's just as far as like entrepreneurship goes. I mean, I agree. Like, I think it's the way. As far as like, I think it's like the way to go. At least for me, I know it's not for everybody. But I know for me, it's just I mean, what are you gonna do as an artist? Because like, I've thought about this for a while because it's one of these things where like, well, I mean, you look at your screen right now. Somebody designed that. Like everything around us, somebody designed that. Like, or you look at like Tony's Marshall amps, like right behind him, like somebody designed it. Somebody came up with the color scheme and the font and everything, and you see that everywhere. And so, I think part of it is, for me, it's providing a service, but I also enjoy, I enjoy telling stories, and I also like exploring these, some of these ideas that we throw around in these types of conversations. I like to explore those in like a fictional setting as well. And so I think there's utility in that. But yeah, I just think it's the way to go. I'm not sure if I
mean, Gonzo, you're the youngest on the panel. You're 22 years old. Man, you've got a whole world ahead of you. And you are so much farther ahead than a lot of guys at your age. So there's a lot of respect for that, for sure. So what could you tell a guy that's 22 right now?
Well, and I actually, this is something I wanted to ask Anthony, or should I say Tony, about this?
Whatever.
And
Tony Johnson just sounds like a fat dick.
It's like some Guido.
Right.
But
Tony Johnson.
Tony Johnson. But yeah, I think guys need to be comfortable failing. Because I think like this is what I really wanted to ask, but it's like, if you really want to succeed, you have to be the guy who fails the most. Like you have to fail more than anybody else, I would say. And so that's how comfortable you have to be with failing. Like you have to be comfortable with rejection. You have to be comfortable with things not working out as planned. You have to be adaptable. You have to work with what you have and what's out there. So, but yeah, I think being comfortable with failure is number one, just in general for entrepreneurship, for running your own business. And unfortunately, I feel like the public school systems just don't instill any of this stuff in people anymore. They really don't. Like when I was growing up, there was never this sense of like, oh, you can start your own business. oh, you can work for yourself. Like that's reserved for like, you know, special people who are or who are untouchable. You know, like you can't ever be anything like that. That's kind of just it's kind of just like a pipe dream. Like there's no talk about, you know, ever starting your own business, ever building anything yourself. It's always working for someone else, or it's always, you know, yeah. So that's how I see it. I think we need to bring that back.
I'm a little bit older than Gonzo, obviously. I'm 10 years older at 32. And for whatever reason, you know, I was blessed, so to speak, with a good attitude for growing up in the 90s and the 2000s. Because, like, I know what he's saying. Like, there's not a big entrepreneurial attitude, even in America, where I think it's better than probably any other country in the world. And whenever I looked at someone who was doing something like amazing, even though I was young and looking at an adult, someone much older, like a kid, I never looked at someone. Whenever I looked at someone doing something amazing, I would just be like, why can't I do what they do? Why are they any better than me? Like they could, whatever they can do, I can probably do that. I guess it's like a form of arrogance in a way. Even if I couldn't do what they really do, I was like, well, I could probably do that. Now, whether or not that's true is a different story, obviously, because you might fail in the process. And as I got older and started, like, you know, doing these things as I got older, and with women, with life, with business, with all of it, you learn. But fundamentally, there's a fundamentally healthy core, I think, that I had growing up that I was lucky to get. I just kind of made that call in my head. Like, yeah, I could probably do that. Why is that guy any better than me? What the fuck? You know, Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or whoever's going to do this amazing company and make billions of dollars. Like, why can't I do that? Like, what's so special about them? They don't look any different than me, really. They're older than me, you know, whatever, but they were my age once. So fucking what? Yeah, so I just never looked. I was always arrogant enough to look at someone and be like, well, they're probably not that much smarter than me. They might even be dumber than me. I could probably do what they do. Now it's more complex, you know, as you get older, it's more nuanced. There's luck, there's fortune, there's relationships, all kinds of shit. But yeah, I did want to comment though, something is, you know, referring earlier, Tony, about, you know, your work and your validation you get from, like, you're talking about physically things you build. Everyone's going to have that. And with me, I think there's a public misconception about what I get, you know, positive validation or feedback from. And I don't actually focus. So what I want to say is I don't actually focus much on the attendees and the viewers. It's not my main priority. It's actually all of it. 21 Studios is explicitly like B2B, business to business. The 21 convention obviously is much more business to customer, but getting attendees and fans and viewers on the videos and the events. But that's really just kind of a shell. What I really care about is the speakers. That's who my strongest relationships are with, for better and for worse. And so far, it's been pretty good. 15 years now, right? I've survived well past beyond where most businesses will. They failed by 5 or 10 years, almost all of them. So what I care about is actually amplifying the speakers. That's my goal. The little digits on a YouTube video, you know, Shawn Smith, who put out a video today. It's a republish. We updated his audio and stuff and put out a new version of his old speech. It's his famous one that got almost like 500,000 views. And that to me is the reward. I don't know 500,000 guys who watched this video. Obviously, you know, they did. There's probably some bots in there too along the way, but it's somewhere between 400,000 and 500,000 real human men who watch that speech and benefit from it. But I don't really care. What I care about is Shawn Smith. I care about the speaker. I want to amplify his message like with a bullhorn. And that's the goal. And when I do that, I'm like, fuck yeah, mission accomplished. Take a shot, whatever, right? George Bruno, your brother, Tony, same thing. I let him worry about the audience and the guys and the men. Like, I'm not an advice guy. I want to help the speaker though, because I know what they're going to do is going to have this much bigger umbrella effect. So my focus is always the speakers. And that's different from the speakers who are focused on not really each other or me. They're focused on the man. They're focused on Chris and probably, you know, Gene here and stuff. And they're focused on the thousands and millions of men that need advice and need help and, you know, whatever is going on in their life. I take a much more meta level to it. And that's how I've been able to build the 21 convention and 21 studios and the 22 convention and Redman group by focusing on the speakers, these individual, I probably have, you know, I have almost 200 speakers I've worked with. And I would say I have tight relationships with about maybe 40 of them at a time, 40 to 50. And it's those relationships that I'm really focused on amplifying that guy's message. Sometimes I just go on Twitter, for example, just retweet guys that I'm close with, buddies of mine. I'm like, is this a good tweet? Yep. Bam, retweet. I take time out of my day to amplify that dude's message. The speakers, right? Not just random people on the internet I don't even know. It's like, what is Zach Small doing? What is Tanner Guzy doing? What is Michael Foster doing? How can I amplify it? I want them to take off and to succeed. And I think that's good for not only their fans and for the world around me, but it's good for me too. If I can make them stronger and more powerful as a speaker and as an author and a YouTuber or whatever, good. Fuck yeah, let's do it. So that's the ramp, but it's basically my focus and my reward is the speakers amplifying their message. The other guys beyond that it's a little more distant from me. I'm not that focused on it.
All right. So what's another avenue that people enter the manosphere? And I think this will be our last topic for the night. Whenever entrepreneurship, of course, a lot of it has to do with pickup and game. We went over strength training. How about style?
Yeah, that's one.
I mean, think about that. I don't want to say we're the most stylish guys here, but yeah, well, that too, pipes and doing manly stuff. I think is I think that's important. But think about style. When we talk about style, of course, the person that comes to mind is Tanner Guzy, who I think is if there's a link to his book in the description of this video. It's The Appearance of Power, and it's kind of a reverse. You would think that the name of that book would be The Power of Appearance, but he flipped that and made it The Appearance of Power. So when we say style, that means style to me is like you can develop your own style as far as what you wear, how you dress. I mean, look at Man tonight. He's dressed with his leather hat. He's got a jacket on with a black shirt. I mean, he looks badass, and that's his style. That's what's working for him. Now, if he threw some sunglasses on, so when we talk, exactly, that's exactly what I'm thinking of, ZZ Top. So there's, and I think style kind of goes also with physicality of making yourself look fit. You're going to look better in that shirt. Those sleeves are going to fit better. So when we talk about style, I'm talking about like when I go at 21, I think somebody had mentioned I'm trying to think who it was, but they weren't used to seeing me on my channel dressed down. So when I go to 21, yeah, I wear some velvet sport coats and nice jeans, nice shoes, but I also incorporate that into, let's say I go on a date. I want to look sharp when I go on a date. I want to look good. I don't want to look over the top. I don't want to, what's that word? Peacocking. I don't want to be peacocking, but I do want to look sharp. So what's your take on that, Tony Johnson?
Yeah, I think style is one of the ways. Like someone else in the chat too mentioned something else. I think that's kind of useful. Philosophy. He mentioned bulldog mindset, stoicism, but style is one of the ways they find it. And I do consider the style kind of community on the periphery of the manosphere. Tanner Guzy is much more involved in that, obviously, directly. He's also involved in events that they do. Got YouTubers, for example, like Alpha M. What's that other guy's name? Well, Aaron Marino's Alpha M, but the other Real Men, Real Style. I forget the actual name. But yeah, they're helping men become more masculine in terms of appearance and style, and that is completely valid. Like I support that 1,000%. That's how I found your brother, Tony. I found George because I wanted a beard guy. I'm like, we're missing someone to speak on beards and facial care and grooming and shaving, wet shaving, old school shit. We need that, and that's died in the culture. I recognize that. This is gone. No one taught me how to shave growing up. Not my father. Nobody. Never mind wet shaving. I mean, are you shitting me? That was like when I discovered wet shaving and like razor single blade shit. I'm like, whoa, that was like fascinating to me. I had to learn that on my own, and thank God though, not on my own, but through YouTube, through guys like George and other YouTubers that show off how to do this. So it's a window to the manosphere, and it's a good one. Just like stoicism and philosophy, maybe objectivism, maybe lifting weights, eating healthy, entrepreneurship, Bitcoin now, crypto is a big thing past couple of years. Yeah, there's a lot of different little windows to it, like a house almost, and it's a big house and different entryways to it. It's awesome. I do want to say though, with regard to the general thrust of the show, how does the manosphere help men? It's helped men immensely in a million different ways, and it's been a massive net positive for American culture and for Western culture, and for the millions of men that make up this community, which is always a revolving door. It's not always the same men. The manosphere 5 years ago was different in terms of its population, its actual viewers and subscribers and stuff than it is now, and it'll be different 5 years from now. Some guys will leave and new guys will join. Some guys will die too, just completely gone, never to come back. But it's been a massive net positive in spite of all the stressors on it and all of the scumbags and the frauds and the LARPers and the bullshit, the scammers. I mean, it's a community that consists of men, most of which like want to get laid and bang women, and they can't. So it's going to naturally attract just absolute scammer scumbags. And that has plagued this community for decades now, and it's sad. But in spite of that, I think the Manosphere is, even in spite of that, it's still been very positive for men and fathers, and I think even boys in the culture, young boys that are not yet men. Look at guys like Dr. Warren Falick wrote The Boy Crisis. And, we have a million other speakers that are focusing on these issues and paying attention to issues when bad things happen to young boys. There was that case in Texas, I think, for example, where the judge sided with the mother against the father for like a transgender kind of drugs and pills and shit. And the father wanted to stop it, and he couldn't, unfortunately, through the courts. Well, who pays attention to that? Is CNN going to pay attention to that? Nope. Is Fox News going to pay attention to that? Probably not. Maybe one guy will mention it, like Tucker. Maybe. That's it. The Manosphere, though, pays attention, and we're concerned about these issues. So overall, the Manosphere has been just incredibly positive for men, in spite of, whatever bullshit's happened, the scams and the frauds and this and that. It's still been super awesome. And I think it's the only real counterculture there is right now in the world, or in America anyway. Like, conservatism is not really counterculture. People say it's the new counterculture. It's not. A lot of it's infected with feminism. It's very much, how do we get as many women as possible elected? It's like, what the fuck? Why? What the fuck? This is stupid. This is all feminist bullshit. The Democrats are supposed to be the party of feminism. Why are you doing this crap? There's no other counter push to feminist, communist garbage in the culture, really. That's pure. That's very, very opposed to it. Not sort of opposed to it. Not, oh, I'm opposed to it and I'll give up when I lose. It's like opposed to it to the end, to the bitter fucking end. And this community is really a lightning rod for men who are fed up with this garbage. I saw Ryan Mickler, for example, last night posting on his Instagram, very politely, basically telling people to go fuck themselves that say he's too political now. Like, no, politics has gotten so crazy that, little boys and girls are getting pills and shit and transgender bullshit. I mean, it's nuts. And the Manosphere, these guys are standing up for it. They're sick and tired of it. So the Manosphere, masculinity and femininity are dying. And the Manosphere, ironically, or for whatever reason, is the only thing really pushing back against that fiercely and unapologetically in different ways. The men's rights focus on their stuff, the MGTOW guys doing their thing, the Red Pill doing their thing, etc. So it's super awesome. I love to see it. And I think it's easily one of the most important movements in the world right now, by far.
Yeah, I think again, we'll go back to the beginning. There's so many corners of the Manosphere, and the only corners that bother me are the corners that take advantage of men.
Yep.
Take advantage of weak men when they enter. And that's the part that probably bothers me the most.
Yep.
But I think overall, the umbrella of the Manosphere really helps a lot of men.
Yes.
It's a place where you can go, you can find your tribe. And, people say, oh, tribes, but as men, we are tribal. Tribes are important to us. To have that group of guys that you can reach out to and you can talk to. Again, Coach Greg said it. I mentioned at the beginning of the show that Coach Greg was one of the guys that said to me that, it's very difficult for a man to reach out. And when he does, that's a great compliment to the guy that he reaches out to.
Yes.
So, any of you guys out there watching this, that, man, when a guy reaches out to you and that's hurting, man, direct him in the right way. Direct him, try to discern where he's at in his life right now and handle him appropriately. And I think that's really important. Again, a guy was not raised like I was, can take a shot to the head. You're talking a guy that was raised, by, whether it be a single mom family or a family where he just there wasn't that influence that a father needs to have on his son. So this community is really, really important to a lot of men. And it's not, people have take shots at the Manosphere. Oh, it's for weak men. It's for this, or you guys are, every ad hom you can think of has been thrown at the Manosphere. And I'll tell you what, I'm still going to, until there's a better name, that is the name, and we are lucky to have the president President Anthony Dream Johnson, also known as Tony Johnson, tonight on the show. You know, I mean, here's a guy at the front lines, and you know, when you hear the war on feminism, it sounds horrible, but what it really means is that trying to bring back family, trying to bring back the natural order. You know, you look at somebody like Jesse Lee Peterson is now part of the Manosphere. I mean, whether he likes it or not, he is part of it. And he's a guy that's trying to bring back the natural order. And the natural order, I think, is what's been disrupted. Natural order is family.
I like to say it's only radical until it becomes popular, and it will become popular again.
Mm-hmm.
It will.
Yeah.
No, we need a return to common sense, just like the founding fathers and the founding generation. We need a return of common sense family, common sense masculinity, and common sense femininity. We've lost all those things. They're all dying. They're almost dead. And that's really, really dangerous. And that's dangerous in like a collapse of Rome genocide kind of way. That's how dangerous it is. You know, people hear that and like, oh, that'll never happen. Man, you need to open a fucking history book. That shit happens like clockwork.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see my country die. I don't want to see, you know, women get enslaved or everybody's fucking in a gulag or whatever the fuck's going to happen. I don't want to see that. I want to live in a healthy, prosperous, free society where, you know, common sense understanding of being a man and a woman is a respected thing, which is demanded by nature. And when you disrespect nature, you will pay for it. You'll pay for it in blood and tears.
Yeah, I mean, Mike has a great comment here. It says, yeah, reach out to your group of guys. Don't reach out to your woman. I mean, I'm gonna agree with that 100%. And I'm gonna play this real quick. Let me see if I've got the right clip here. Let me see here.
A man should never, ever, ever, but never, 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 ever, never, 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 ever, 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 ever tell a woman his weakness. Never let a woman know your weakness. Never tell her your issues, because she would never let you forget it. Even when you overcome those issues, 50 years down the road, she'll remind you of them.
And that was purely appropriate with Mike's comment right there. Reach out to that group of guys. This is the reason why, is because when you reach out to your woman and you show your weakness, okay, I think her natural instinct is to now look at you obviously as a weak man. In other words, don't confide all those things that you want to say to her. It's not going to impress her. It's not going to make her love you more or think of you as a strong man because you showed that weakness. It does the absolute opposite of what you think it's going to do. Yeah. And again, I just happened to have that clip unloaded, and that was straight from Jesse Lee Peterson's mouth himself. So, but Carly's back, and she says it's natural for women taking over when men become weak. And Carly, I'll agree with you there. I mean, you know, you make a great point there. I'll give you that. When men become weak, you know, what are they supposed to do? So no weak men.
Yeah. You know, Ayn Rand, the philosopher, was famous. She went on Phil Donahue and said this on national television. She said this back in the like mid-70s or something. They asked her if she would ever vote for a female president. And she articulated, she's like, I'm very opposed to a female president. But they're like, yeah. Would you ever vote, though, for a female president? And she goes, well, if it had fallen that low, I might. You can find this on YouTube. If it had fallen that low, I might. And then she went into, they're like, oh, you just hate women. She's a woman. She's like, no, I don't hate women. Like, basically, women are not designed for this.
It goes to show you what happens when everything just, it's the mentality goes to shit with everything else.
It's the same, but it's the same in a family. I mean, if you don't lead your family as a father and a husband, the woman will pick up the slack out of necessity, and then she'll fucking hate you for it. Yep. Rightfully so. Like, she doesn't, this isn't a natural role for her. She's
and destroy it. And destroy it in the process.
It destroys the family, and it destroys her soul. She's not good at it. She doesn't want to do it. You know.
I told Tony something the other day. Tony and Gonzo. I said, Man, you know, a lot of guys will say women are not loyal. I disagree. They're very loyal. They're more loyal than men to whatever narrative they want to believe, to the point that they'll destroy their kids, they'll destroy their marriages, they'll destroy their generations.
Yep.
Of course, if we allow it, but they'll take that to the bank and go with that and die riding on that narrative.
Yeah, it's a good point, man. I agree with that. Women can
That's
be very
loyalty.
loyal.
A
Yeah.
man would say, "Oh, I made a mistake here. Let me go the other way." You know, they
Yeah.
won't do it. They will
Now-
not do it without leadership from a man.
Now I'll make a disclaimer to here too. Now that it's not like we're women haters by any means. That's in fact, it's quite the opposite. Anthony's wearing a hat that says "Make Women Great Again." Hell, I got one right here, right next to me here.
Yeah.
And what that means is that it's okay to be a woman. It's okay to be a man. I mean, let's get that on the table. It's okay to be feminine.
Yep.
And what happens is when you give up that masculine role, when you give up that leadership role, I still have to give credit to a woman that, say, was in a truly abusive relationship, okay, was truly, and she persevered. So we have to give credit to the women that really still hung in there and kept their life together. We can't discount that. I mean, I know Jesse says, when I asked him, is there such a thing as a strong woman? And he had said, no, there's only such thing as weak men. And that's not a knock on women. It's actually more of a knock on men. Like if you were a strong man, she wouldn't have to be this strong, independent woman, because I think that's what women really want, is to look to that guy. But we also got to look to the women that have had, a horrible relationship or have been abused, legitimately been abused. And I say legitimately. So we have to give some credit to the women that have still persevered. And probably those women the most are looking for that genuine man, the woman that has been gone through hell. There's also, we've talked about men have gone through hell and women have gone through hell. There are some women out there that legitimately have taken shit, but they have built that life because they had no choice.
The problem, here's what I would add to that, Tony, if I can hop in.
Sure.
I agree with you. Women go through legitimately abusive relationships where they get abused and it sucks. And there's all kinds of red pill kind of, theory you can get into of why that happens. Although certainly it's just going to happen as a probability in statistics. You have billions of people fucking each other. Something bad's going to happen. People are going to abuse each other. There's personality disorders, mental illness, all kinds of unethical behavior, obviously, just in general. The problem, I think, though, is that women who get damaged, they have a really hard time recovering from it in a healthy way. So when men get damaged, they can stay broken and bitter and fucked up and then kill themselves or something, or they can become more masculine from it. We have a healthy option, a healthy out from it. There's going to be in between too. Like, this is not like a super simplistic binary. Women can, I think, when they get damaged, the only thing they can do healthy is recover back to baseline and learn like a little bit, gain some wisdom. But that's not like a very feminine thing, I think, especially at a young age, maybe older. Some men, when they get damaged and traumatized, they become hardened. Women do too. That's just less feminine though. So it's like, how do they even recover without getting... it's just, if women get damaged, they have to return to baseline and that's it. Men can go way above and beyond baseline. I got hurt and damaged. I had a fucked up relationship with the Medusa prostitute hooker. That was a fucking, total fucking train wreck, obviously, right? Marrying a prostitute on accident in Vegas, of all places. But I was able to recover back to baseline from that and then exceed well beyond it. And I'm much more masculine and understanding of like who I am and where I'm gonna go with my life than I was back then. And that turning point in my life, 2016, that was a big deal for me. Finding the red pill community, finding deeper elements of psychology and personality disorders, and really checking myself on what a mistake this was to be in a relationship that long, but also to own it and be okay with it and accept it. Like, it's part of my life. It's part of who I am now, part of who I'm going to become. How do I really heal from that in a positive, healthy, long-term way? And I was able to do that. I'm still in some ways, I don't know if recovering from that relationship is the right word. It's been so long now, 5 years, but almost exactly 5 years, just over 5 years, actually. Yeah.
there's
it's
one
an ongoing thing. You'll never forget it, you know?
one thing you said, Anthony, and that's really, really one of the things you just said was you said you're going to own it.
Yeah.
I think ownership, extreme ownership, is that Jocko Willink that says that?
That's
Extreme ownership?
his slogan.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really important. And I think that's one thing, men and women, you have to own your shit. You really, really do. You know, it took, I think a lot of guys enter the manosphere. All of a sudden you start watching, you know, you can watch, Read the Rational Male. And again, I think it's a great book. I'm not going to knock that book by any means. But what happens is I think sometimes you say, okay, well, she was borderline personality disorder. That's what she was. You know what? You might have fucked up. It might have been you too. So own your shit.
Whether or not she was, why'd you want to bang her so bad?
Yeah.
Why'd you want to? You didn't bang her once, probably. You probably banged her a bunch of times. Why were you attracted to that? Like, you gotta ask yourself those questions. Yeah. That's ownership.
So the ownership, I think well, maybe that's one of the fails of the manosphere, even though we're on, you know, the positive things in the manosphere. But I think maybe one of the fails of the manosphere is that they don't have a man own up to what he did. In other words, I think there are certain corners that blame everything on the woman when it's time for you to own your own shit. Now, Anthony, you're I would love for anybody to watch your video, the one we were talking about the other day. It's about 3 hours long, if I'm correct.
2 hours, about 2 hours.
Yeah. But what's the name of that so people can find it? Maybe I'll drop me the link and I'll drop it in the description of the video. So
it's called Marrying Medusa, How to Survive a Female Psychopath. And it's very popular. It's got over 400,000 views, and it's been watched by, hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. A lot of moms actually reach out to me from that, like on Instagram and Twitter and stuff. They're basically watching it. They have like teenage sons, and for whatever reason they find it and they love it. They send it to the sons like immediately. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's available for free. It's also on BitChute and Library Odyssey.
Yeah, so I would recommend that video to really anybody. I mean, check it out. It's super in depth on Anthony's. We'll call it your situation, your marriage, But again, by putting that out, you owned it.
Yep.
You know, and I know you've taken a lot of heat for that. Well, Anthony married a hooker or whatever. I've heard every whatever you want to call it, slander toward that, but you've owned it, and that's different. There's a difference when you come out and you put that out to the world and say, okay, I made this mistake. You don't have to.
Yeah.
So I think it's a
teachable moment.
Yeah, that's a great word. Gonzo is a teachable moment.
And I even got pushback from some of the speakers at the event that year, even from the director, who had known me and my wife, for years at that point, many years. So it was, but I pushed through it. I was like, nope, we're doing it. I'm doing it. You're not going to stop me. You're going to film it and do what you're told, and everyone else is going to watch us go down, and you're going to be okay with it. And it was kind of tense, some moments there. I know I felt bad for guys like Tanner Guzy, who was new to the event that year, 2016. I knew the style guy had come into the event. He just sitting in the back, and I'm like, man, who here has fucked a prostitute 1,000 times? I just see this guy. He's like sitting back here with my sister or some shit. I'm just like, oh my God. This poor guy wants to come to speak at an under 21 convention. It was actually for young men that year. We did one of those again. And this guy's speaking on style, and I'm like, who married a fucking hooker? I did. See, it was a wild speech, man. It was super intense. I think it was the most intense speech of my life because it was so personal and so emotional. It was very traumatic to go through that.
Here's a question I want to throw out to the panel real quick, and I like this question. I'm going to let man hit this one first, and then we'll go around.
What are your thoughts on men who are possibly creating a YouTube channel helping men? Is it worth it with all the possible drawbacks? I don't see any drawbacks, to be honest. I don't see a single drawback in making a channel that helps men at all.
It probably means like cancel culture or something, I would assume.
Oh man, you got to speak your mind. That's what we need today. Speak the truth. The truth has to be defended. That's our purpose as men.
Yeah.
And so if you can do that, do it. Like, there are no drawbacks to speaking truth.
Gonzo?
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of go back on what I was saying earlier. Like, you have to be comfortable failing, and you also have to. I mean, that kind of goes with the canceling thing as well, the so-called canceling. I mean, I've been like, so far, I've been, soft canceled. I don't know what constitutes a real canceling at this point. What do you get, like, nuked or something? Does somebody like come to your house? Like I don't know what happens, but the most of the time there's some heat, and then it's just whatever. But you just do it. It doesn't matter if people are gonna hate you. Like, you can't be afraid of your reputation, like losing your reputation or whatever. You can't be afraid of that. Yeah, like you just say it, because I'm just of the train of thought that if you have compassion for other people, you care about other people, you're gonna tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And even if people are gonna laugh, even if people are gonna look at you like, what the hell, this guy's crazy. Like, I think about like Elliot Holst back in like the bioenergetics, like when he was really deep into that, and he was getting into like the deep breathing and all that stuff. And I mean, it's great, everybody check it out. But it's it got memed. It got memed to death, but he kept going. Like, this guy, and he's still going. So you can't give up. You can't just stop. You have to have like a thick skin when it comes to this sort of thing. And so I think guys should do it. Like I was saying, this is it's like a buffet of ideas. There's thoughts. Everybody needs to just explore these different avenues. So yeah, do it.
I've reached a point in my YouTube channel career now where I'm getting hate comments from angry women. So that lets me know that I'm moving up.
It kind of becomes a badge of honor at some point.
Nothing but love.
I haven't got that much hate from women on my channel, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah.
But I do see my channel growing steadily, and I do appreciate everybody. I'll give them my thoughts on it. Is that I'm gonna tell you right now, like, it's something Coach EO says, it begins and ends with the man. Be authentic. Be authentic. Eventually, will you make money at it? And this is the issue that I have, is that if you are going to, in other words, you do eventually monetize, don't change your message to monetize. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Because I think your message is going to be received if it's authentic. And that's my opinion. You can take it for what it's worth. I am going to shout out real quick when it comes to channels, and Nutshots has a great little channel he started. And I really, I found him through a comment on last Thursday night stream, and he does a great breakdown on dating apps. In fact, Anthony, you have to check him out. I think you'll enjoy it. You
mean Tony Johnson?
Yeah. Yeah, Nutshots meet Tony Johnson. But he does a great breakdown on dating apps and Tinder. And I think it's a really authentic kind of breakdown on the dating apps. I think he gave a different perspective on. When I started watching it, wasn't what I expected, but I was interested in it. So anybody check out his channel, man. Subscribe to it. I think he's got like 4 or 5 videos on there right now. I've watched a couple. They're short videos, but check him out. It's kind of a different take on dating apps and Tinder. I think he did a great breakdown, but I want to give him a shout out because it was I liked it. I thought it was really cool. Even though I've been banned on Tinder for a long time, so it doesn't matter anyways. But
I gotta get back on there.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
I get banned off all that shit.
So, and I think being banned on something like that, I don't consider a badge of honor. It's not like I didn't say anything that was offensive to anybody. I don't think at all, but I think it's just when a woman doesn't get the response that she expects, you get reported. So let's just put it this way, I have no use for that app anyways.
Dude, my approach is the opposite. Whenever I get on there, I just say like the most offensive shit I can usually. I'm not trying to get banned. I'm just trying to fucking get the phone number and send dick pics. But
yeah,
I just don't. It's just I don't have time for it. And a lot of the times,
send Johnson pics.
Yeah, exactly. But back in the day, it's only recently they really got good at banning you, because before it was very easy to get around the ban. You would just delete your account, make a new account with a new email or whatever, right? Some stupid shit, or a new Facebook account. But now they get really good at it. Bumble in particular is even better than Tinder. But I did get back on Bumble with a business phone that I have, thankfully. But it took a while to get around it. I got banned like 6 times on Bumble. They banned me off Twitter on Bumble, man. I was tweeting at Bumble, just posting screenshots of these women and shit. They're not even women. I think it was my profile. And it was like, I'm kind of an asshole or something. They were like, they just fucking instant banned me. They actually located my account in Orlando and fucking banned me off the Twitter account of Bumble. I'm like, holy fuck. But
well, Anthony, do you want to respond to Adam in Florida on this question?
Oh, yeah, I don't have too much to add. I mean, there's risks, obviously, putting your face out there. So you have the option of going between, putting your face out and your name and all that, or going full anonymous. I will say that what I don't like is people who start YouTube channels and they're kind of like living in no man's land, like this middle zone. They're like half pregnant, They're not like fully pregnant, like fully or fully public, right, with their name and all that, like you are, Tony, and like I am. And they're not then also like in private completely. So that danger, I call it like, it's almost like a danger zone, because they're almost setting up like a ticking time bomb. It's like you have a YouTube channel, you're putting out content, you're saying probably controversial stuff in a society that hates truth. Like, what do you think is going to happen eventually? I was tweeting about this the other day, kind of off the cuff, and it pissed off a lot of people on YouTube just because I posted it there. It's funny. But yeah, I'm not a fan of staying in the middle. I think it's just, even if your tensions are good, it's like you're setting up like a landmine under yourself, and eventually it's going to blow up. And that's what's happening with MGTOW Dictionary guys. They're going after Donovan and Rolo and all these fucks. People I don't like, obviously. But what did you think was going to happen? Like, those dudes are out saying all this edgy red pill shit, cracking on single moms and talking mad shit on these people, and their face is on it, but not their name. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? Duh. Like, you want millions of people to watch your content, and you think no one's going to know who the fuck you are? You think the people bagging your groceries don't have an iPhone with a YouTube app installed? Like, what the fuck do you think was going to happen? This is almost like a separate rant, but yeah, man, if you're going to start a channel, go for it. It's a good thing. I'm not opposed to it. Maybe also keep an eye on alt tech too. I think alt tech is something we should all focus on a little bit more. BitChute, Library, Mine, Gab, all that stuff. Mines, excuse me.
Telegram,
yeah, Telegram, exactly. Yeah, don't be, I'm YouTube heavy, but that's just kind of like how the cookie crumbled. I wish I'd gotten on alt tech even sooner, to be honest. Been more aggressive with pushing it. It's a good thing. It's healthy in an age where you can get cut off and deplatformed pretty easily.
It says, do you gentlemen believe with the cancel culture in full swing, is content on channels simmered down to a certain degree to avoid shadow banning, possibly being canceled out? Yeah, I mean, I don't think if you have a small channel, you're going to be canceled that quick, but I think that, it all depends. I mean, we've been lucky on this channel here that YouTube really throws us around on Saturday nights and Thursday nights. We get a lot of people coming in that, found my channel from YouTube suggestions, or it's in their feed. So at this point, and also I know me and Anthony, we had a conversation about, is my channel a Manosphere channel? And you had said, yeah. And I try to think, I like to think of it as more of I'll say a lifestyle channel, or a masculine lifestyle channel, because I welcome all people. I mean, we have women in the chat now, and we have a lot of these women that are coming into this, just like when Pat Stedman talked about, women are coming into this community, and it's not in a bad way. So I think that's important. So for me, yeah, do I have interviews with some of the biggest guys in the Manosphere? Yeah. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud that, 21 Studios has co-published some of my interviews, which it's something that I'm proud of. But to me, it's still, I'm going to pick back up on interviews in March, taking a couple months off here and concentrating on this type of content. But I'm going to start doing interviews and conversations again. But I've been really, I've been proud to bring 21 Studios in my channel, some of the biggest names on YouTube when it comes to dating, lifestyle, relationship coaches. And for me, it was an exploration into their philosophies, and everybody has a different philosophy. I have my, I don't want to say I have my favorites because I like them all, you know. I mean, I've talked with, you know, Hunter Drew or Zach Small about families. I've talked with Pat Stedman about you know, about vibrations and things that I was really interested in. You know, alpha male strategies, which I thought was an incredible talk I had with him. Was, you know, to me it was kind of mind blowing to somebody that I've watched for a couple of years to actually have a conversation with and kind of dive into his head. And I plan on doing more of that. You know,
one of his highest viewed interviews ever. It's got 300,000 views almost on my channel on 21 Studios, a couple thousand more here on your channel. Yeah. It's kicking ass, man. Excellent interview.
Yeah, and I'm proud of that, you know. And one of my interviews is going to be with Tony Johnson, but actually it's going to be with Anthony Dream Johnson coming up soon. And I have, you know, and I want to thank my, you know, my panel guys, you know, Primal Man, Gene, and Gonzo for being a part of this growth with me. You know, we've had some great shows with Jack Donovan and Michael Bunker, with Steve the Dean Williams and Coach EO. You know, just those different shows, yeah, have been awesome. So I'm thankful for, you know, for John Sanmez to come on and talk with us for a couple hours. You know, these guys give their philosophies. We don't all have to agree. You know, again, I might disagree with this, but their philosophies under the umbrella of the Manosphere are completely welcome here on this channel. Same thing with Anthony Johnson, which I support 21 Convention, 21 Studios, 100%. I really do, you know, support, you know, Anthony's work, Gonzo's work, Gene's work. I think it's all super, super valuable. So, let me see. We got a question here. Do you gentlemen believe that the podcasts such as Redman Group could go mainstream as The View, for example, slotted time on cable? All right. I'll let Anthony.
I mean, it's. I appreciate the question, almost like a compliment. I mean, it would be cool if that was possible, but in the world we live in, at least right now, it's just there's no fucking way. The content would have to be so neutered, it wouldn't even be the same thing. You might as well chop the balls off the Redman Group to get it on cable television like that. They just wouldn't allow it. Fortunately, I think you know, video viewing, content viewing, TV viewership, mobile, these things are changing so rapidly that question, it might not matter in, say, 8 years, 12 years, even 5 years, who knows? Things are changing so fast. I mean, look at, you know, high-speed internet and cable television now versus it 25 years ago or something. So it might not be that important. We might be able to get the same viewership, assuming cancel culture doesn't go even more insane, like full Orwellian 1984. Obviously, we're close, but we could still do shows like this and film them and have great time. So yeah, I wanted to get millions of views, but on mainstream television right now, there's not a chance. They'd fucking kick us off within seconds.
Yeah.
It amazes me to look at how television has devolved. Because, you know, like right now on YouTube with the, you know, it's a real joy. Like you can look up old episodes of the Dick Cavett Show, or you can watch like the Tomorrow Show, and you really just see how far downhill things have gone. Like you line that up next to The View, and it's like, wow, they actually used to have real conversations about real things on television. It was amazing. Like I remember I found this old debate with this guy, and I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head, but there was a bunch of different people on this panel, and they were all discussing animal experiments. Are they ethical? Should we do them? What are the upsides? What are the downsides? And they were actually having a legitimate debate with people on both sides of this, and it was not set up. It was not, you know, it was not collecting sound bites for, you know, the propaganda pieces later. It was just a straight up debate, and we don't have that anymore. We don't have, like, I don't see these long form television shows anymore about like culture and art, film, music, and politics. I don't see any of those things anymore.
It's controlled by the narrative of the actual whoever owns the channel. I mean, that's who owns the channel owns the narrative. I mean, that's that's what it's about now, you know?
Well, what Gonzo's saying is probably the reason why Joe Rogan does so well. I mean, that's a lot of that's moved to podcasting and speeches and stuff like we do at 21 Convention. But look at Rogan's thing. I mean, he does podcasts for 4 hours at a time and shit. They get tens of millions of views sometimes, and people are hungry for it. They're desperate for it because the mainstream is so fake and so fake woke and all this feminist garbage. It's insane. So,
well, I think we'll start wrapping it up. I just I want to anybody who's watching this video now or in the future is don't be afraid to reach out. And again, it's called the Manosphere for a reason because it's for men. Okay, so don't be afraid to reach out to your favorite content creator. If anybody wants to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter at T21Surfer. If you got a question for me, that's fine. Shoot it right there. I don't have an email that I want to give out right now, but it's T21Surfer. Okay, and that is on Instagram or Twitter. So you can find me there. Anybody has a question. Also, too, up in the corner, you'll see that order your pheromone soap. That's how you support this channel. And the reason I say that is because as a content creator myself, I do put time and effort into bringing content and hopefully that you find it valuable. But by ordering that soap, which is pheromone infused soap, of course, beard oil and cologne sticks, but that shows me the appreciation for what we're all doing here, okay? And it's a small way that you get something in return for what we're bringing you here. And yeah, there is a certain element to any type of show where showing your appreciation. There's also a section in the description where you can donate. It's at snug.me. There it is, tactical soap. Hell yeah. And Scott Carr is a business. Scott is a great guy. In fact, we'll have him on here one time soon. I know he said he would come on here again, but I have a great interview and a conversation with him on this channel about tactical soap and pheromone. But you can donate to my channel if you go in the description. It's snug.me. If you want to chat with me, there's a way you can chat with me for an hour or so. You want any type, I don't want to say really, I'll say advice or, I'm 58 years old. I've lived a lifetime of let's just put it this way. I have a lot of experience. So I help a lot of men straight up, no charge. But if you want to donate or help out with this mission, I appreciate it. And that's all I can ask from you. So, but again, if you're a guy that's watching this video and you need to reach out to somebody, man. Look for somebody that you can talk to. It's really important. Don't be afraid. It's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength when you reach out to another man. Don't be afraid. Don't reach out to your woman. Don't show your weakness. Okay? So reach out to another guy. It's very, very important. Don't show your weakness to your woman because your woman doesn't want to look at you as a weak man. It's not showing strength by reaching out to her. As that might be the biggest contradiction you've probably heard, but take that as pure advice. So we'll go to man next.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. We appreciate y'all. Much love, and I enjoy all the comments. It's a great time. Also, too, Tony, I don't know if you mentioned this Saturday night live. Get it off your chest. 9 p.m. You have? Okay. I missed it.
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't. Join us Saturday night live at 9 p.m. Eastern time on this channel here, Saturday night, this coming Saturday night. But you can find me at Primal Man on YouTube, just like you see it on the screen. And you can find me at Mantidote, like antidote, on Instagram. I'll see y'all there. Also on the Primal Man YouTube channel this Monday night, every Monday night, it's Monday Night Man Hour. Tune into that at 8 p.m. See y'all then.
Nice.
Gonzo, you're next.
Yeah, well, this has been awesome. Yeah, if you want to find, I have a channel where I talk about just the latest topics right now. I have another video coming out soon about kind of a summary of everything that has happened in Texas with the freeze. I'm covering some of the latest political developments on that. So that's Gonzo School on YouTube. That's where Gonzo comes from. So you can check it out. Check out Gonzo School, and I'm on Instagram at Midnight Author, midnight.author, and then Midnight Author on Gab. So, and that's where you can find the art, and you can reach out to me there for anything regarding
Excellent.
art.
And you do custom artwork for people if they want it, correct?
I do custom art. Yeah, I do all types of art. I do graphic design. I've done website stuff. I do video stuff. So
Yeah. So guys, reach out to Gonzo. This is how you support channels like ours, you know, our small channels, but this is how you support. And that support, just something small is it's not that it's the monetization, but it's that it's a show of appreciation, because I've been doing that for years for guys that I appreciate. So everybody on this panel so far. Also, real quick before we go to Anthony, Saturday night live stream. I'm glad Man brought it up, but Saturday night live stream. It's the show. Get it off your chest. You can come on this live stream. I'd like to see Nutshots on here on Saturday night, because I think he'd be a great panel guest. I'd love to have him come on live with us. But you can come on live. I put a StreamYard link in the chat. You can hit that button, and you can come on live and get it off your chest. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. So I appreciate everybody in the chat. And we're going to go to Tony Johnson, also known as Anthony Dream Johnson. Anthony, tell everybody all the platforms that they can find you on.
There's a million, but I want to focus on something a little different tonight. So number one, subscribe to the Redman group on YouTube. I always pump 21 Studios, which is my main channel, but I prefer you actually go to youtube.com/the Redman group, or just type the Redman group like it is on the banner here. Subscribe to the Redman group. It's actually got a lot of subscribers. I just haven't revealed it as of yet. It's been a while, but soon I'm gonna actually unlock that and show the world how awesome Redman group is. Also, go to everybody watching probably has an Android or iPhone app. Go to the App Store if you guys can see that. Wait, maybe it'll. There you go.
Yeah.
Go to the App Store. That's hard to see, but anyway, go to the App Store on your phone, Android, tablet, iPhone, iPad, doesn't matter. Search 21 University. Download the free 21 University app. You can get a free 1-month trial when you log in. And I appreciate it if you download the app and leave a review. That's really important to my company. It helps me a lot. Really want to get the app a bigger presence on there for all the fans and stuff, get it going. So download the 21 University app on iPhone or Android. Those are the biggest things you can do. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, it's been a good talk, guys. And, I think, again, the Manosphere is a positive place. I think it's got too many negative, just too much negative publicity, and it's actually something that's probably saved more men's lives than probably anything in the world. It's a community of men that you can reach out to. And I'm gonna just say to any men that's out there hurting, you can reach out to anybody on this panel personally, and I'm sure that they would respond. There's a million ways to find us. So if there's something going on in your life, you need to reach out, just do it. It's better than the alternative. Let's just put it that way. So, but much love, honor, and respect to everybody on the panel and everybody in the chat tonight. Appreciate all of you. We're going to end this broadcast, and we will see you Saturday night. So I'll talk to you soon. And my boys, we'll stay on for a quick after party.
Thank you, Tony.
Cheers, all.
See y'all.
cheers.